Good morning, Raptor freaks. Yachts here, and the Raptors beat the Celtics, the defending champions, in their last preseason game last night. And we have one more. We're going to play Brooklyn, but we beat them, finishing them 4-1. They weren't perfect in their preseason, and yeah, I'm shocked. We beat them by 1 point last night, and that was a fantastic win. It may be preseason, it may not count, but there were certain things about that game last night that were very, very interesting. Very, very interesting, and we're going to react to it today. So, y'all, thank you for joining me this morning with your comments. I'm going to read all the comments and see what you guys are saying about the Raptors' 1 point victory over the Boston Celtics in the Scotiabank Arena last night on October the 15th, 2024. That's right. Yeah. Listen, I was very hard on Scotty on Monday in my reaction to the game on Sunday. And I said a lot of certain things, but you know what? In some ways, if he heard me or somebody heard me or something like that, he listened because he came out and he did almost exactly what I was pleading with him to do on Monday. Is in some ways, Scott, you are the best player on the court. Any given night, you take the court. I really do believe that. I don't care who's on the other side. I don't care if Kevin Durant's there. I don't care if LeBron James is there. I don't care if Nikola Jokic is there. Scotty, you have the potential to be the best absolute NBA player on an NBA court. Any given night, the Raptors take the court. And last night, you proved that against the Celtics, who have players on their team that, well, ESPN loves so much. They've ranked like 6 of them in the top 100 for the NBA in their stupid rankings. They came out with more of them yesterday or today. So we'll look at it some more at some point. But we've got stars of the game. We've got the team stats. We've got all the normal stuff we do on this channel, like the Instagram stories, the classic card box. Yeah, strap in. This may be a little bit of a Lexathon. I probably expected to probably be here maybe 3 hours, maybe from 2 to 3 hours, somewhere in there. We should be in there. All right, let's start with Nako the Nacho coming in first. Gerald holding it down for us in Mississauga. Let's see what he's saying here. Performance by a playoff team. Scotty's probably the headline. I was the most excited with Grady's game. Davion's vision was nice. Oshai was nice. And Carlson was MVP. Yeah, I don't know if Carlson's MVP. He did one play right at the end and one thing, and that was all he did. And honestly, that block was kind of a fluke. He didn't get it clean. And in some ways, it looked like he kind of hit the backboard and not really but he challenged, and he didn't allow them to make it. And that's the most important thing. It wasn't a very clean block. And in some ways, it could have been called different. But I think Scott Foster, Matt Myers, and Aaron Smith were kind of like, well, this is the end of the game. There's no real play there. We can call a foul or something. That would be really cheesy to the home crowd. Just let the young man have a clean block, which in some ways it wasn't totally. It wasn't totally, but the refs right at the last second, they're like, nah, I just want to go home. So I could say that was partly that. So I can't say Carlson's the MVP. He's getting shine for his defensive play right at the end of the game to seal it. And in some ways, yes, he did do something great to help us make sure we won. But he can't be called the MVP. Come on, Gerald. The most invaluable player last night was Scotty Barnes. And he played in a way that we've never seen him play. Ever. I'm telling you, this was a different Scotty. This was a totally different Scotty. And partly it was the proficiency from three-point range and the daring and the confidence and the I'm going to do this kind of stuff. It was absolute badass. In some ways, this is exactly what I wanted him to do on Sunday, what he did last night, is come out there and dominate. In some ways, I wanted him and Grady to come out and kick some butt like RJ and Grady did in the first game against Washington in the preseason. They did do that. That it was a 1-2 punch of Barnes and Dick that absolutely messed up the Celtics in the first quarter, where we really messed them up. Like, what did we score in the first quarter? It was crazy. We scored 46 points in the first quarter last night to be up by 19 after one. It really was a tale of two halves, 4 quarters. We win the first quarter. They win the second quarter. We win the third quarter. They win the fourth quarter. And there was some back and forth. We get 46. They get 40. We get 31. They get 32. And it gives right back and forth to the point where we win by 1, just barely edging the Celtics champions, right at the end of the game. And the thing is that this game brought character to our team because we used all the levels of our team. We had the starters who played exceptionally well. I was so proud of the tone set by Grady, Scotty, Jakob, Oshai, and Davion.
And then you got the guys coming in, and they didn't drop the ball. In some ways, we're used to Malachi Flynn, backup point guard, who's going to drop the ball, and we're going to have a drop off. But no, people like Shed before he got hurt, then Carton. These guys came in and they carried us with a good, strong energy also to battle with them at all points of the game. If there had been a part in the game where we had lagged or played like kind of crappy, the Celtics might have really blown us out. And there were a little bit of times like that where they went on runs, especially in the second quarter, where we couldn't answer for a long, long time. And they ate up our lead. The fact that we took the blows of a championship team coming back at us and we handled them and we stayed on top is absolutely very, very, very impressive to me, because this isn't just a Joe Schmo NBA team. This is the Celtics. And in some ways, there is something called Celtic pride. And you don't think that everybody that's watching that game last night was hoping and praying that Celtics would come back and just win that game so they could be 5-0 in the preseason? You're damn right they were. But we roll with the punches. We kept in that ring, and we fought them toe-to-toe, and we came out on top in the end. A great birthday present for the big man from Austria, Jakob Poeltl. A great, great birthday present. And that's something that's impressive to me. And in some ways, Scott handed the baton to the bench in the beginning of the fourth quarter. He hit that dot, that three, his last shot that he made. He hit that dot, and he's like, okay, guys, I'm coming out. I did my part. We're up by 10 points. Don't squander this, DJ Carton, Jamias Ramsey, and Jamison Battle. Don't squander this. And they didn't. They held off. They played really well against the bench of the Celtics, who were trying to come back and get us. And let's not get it twisted. Jalen and Jason played most chunks of the games and put in regular minutes. This was not no game where Tatum and Brown were not a part of what was going on out there. In fact, those two and Derek White had very good games last night. They had good games. It's not like they had crappy games. Those guys scored some points. Jason Tatum had 24. Derek White had 23. And Jaylen Brown had 19. So it's like we were playing, in some ways, not totally the compliment, but they didn't have us fully compliment of us with IQ and RJ out. But they didn't have Drew Holiday. They didn't have Kristaps Porzingis. But, we could say that and that. Now, Sunday was embarrassing. I hated the way we lost to the bench of Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser and them on Sunday. That was embarrassing, but this made up for it. In some ways, I said to myself, it's like, Lex, last week, I said, if we can get one game against the Celtics in this preseason, I'll be so happy. Well, it happened. And it happened in a roundabout way in this game last night, and I did not expect it. Now we can go to Brooklyn on Friday, and we can try and get a winning record in our 2024-2025 preseason. If we beat Jordy and his team and Dennis Schroeder on Friday night, we're 3-2, and we have a winning record in the preseason. In some ways, this win over the Boston Celtics last night is kind of like our championship for this year, guys. I'm not going to lie. In some ways, we can say we beat the champs in preseason. Now, hopefully, we can beat them in the regular season, and that'll feel real good, too. But at least for now, we can say we beat the champs by 1 in the preseason. And that goes a long way for young rookies like Jamal Shed, Brendan Carlson, Jamison Battle, and, the rest. It really does. Jonathan Mobo. It really, really does. So I'm really, really impressed with the Raptors, and especially Scotty. Scotty, I give you so much credit for what happened last night. Really, really got to give you a lot of credit. Grady Dick. Wow, man. Wow. The things about Grady that are coming out and more are just phenomenal. The stuff with Grady and Scotty was absolutely cool. There's a certain cut that Scotty is so good at passing and Grady is so good at cutting. And they're just making these little layups under the basket. It's happening with Oshai too. There's a lot of good chemistry and good connection between our guys in different ways, and I'm loving it. In fact, the fact when Scott doesn't try to isolate and beat his opponent on dribble and then like do a little step and step back and shoot the three. I hate those ones. I like it when he's doing a little bit of a give and go with another Raptor, where it's like maybe he'll give the ball to the other guy and he'll go somewhere else, another spot, and then they throw it to him, and then he's getting an open three. Darko said after the game that there were only a few three-point shots last night that he didn't agree with, that he thought were too contested, that they shouldn't have taken. Now, there were some shots that looked kind of funny that Scott took. There's like, man, the guy's too much on you, but he did make them, which was crazy. And Scotty's dialed in on three like that. That's amazing. Now, we can't count on that every night. In some ways, him being so dialed in on three was absolutely fantastic, but he cannot rely on beating teams regularly that way. There will be some games where he can be that dialed in and we can really lean on him taking threes like that. But it's risky. It's very, very risky. And in some ways, I'm more happy when he diversifies the way he scores by going inside and having the three and just making them keep guessing. He did have a couple of plays where he went inside and took little babies on his back and scored on them. So that was good. There was a bit of a mix and match of Scotty's offense between the very daring, crazy three-point shooting, and then, at times he did go in the post and beat a smaller defender. So very, very good stuff from Scott. And in fact, he kind of picked and chose when to look for other teammates to get theirs and when to take his very, very well last night. And the stuff with him and Grady, oh my gosh. Grady Dick is awesome. Grady Dick is so cool. He's so cool. That dude is so spunky. And that guy gets after it. And you got the respect and admiration of me, Grady Dick. I'm going to say that right now. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Trevor J saying, them blessings hit different when you remember what you got, what you went through to get them. Only a few will get it. Okay. All right, Trevor. There you go. Good words of wisdom this morning. He's saying, what a game last night. If we continue playing like this, the future is bright. Let's go. In some ways, there is a lot of bright about this because we're not playing with RJ and IQ right now. And the potential is very, very good when we have everybody healthy to be a very badass team. That's very, very dangerous and very, very difficult to handle. Scotty, you are the man. Seriously. And in some ways, you had that eye of the tiger. When I saw you clapping at Derek White last night, I was like, this dude is intense. This guy cares. This guy showed up and he really did. He was embarrassed by Sunday night. I know he was. And for 2 days, he stewed on. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm not a punk. I'm not going to get punked by people like Sam Hauser and Queta and Peyton Pritchard and some guy named Drew Peterson. No, fuck that. I'm going to come out there and fuck them up the next time I get the chance. And that's what he did. That's what he did on Tuesday, October the 15th. He came out there and fucked them up. And right from the bat, too. He wasn't taking no prisoners right away. He came out there with a very, very, very mission, a very specific mission. And him and Grady came out there and messed them up to the point of 46 points on the Champs. And that's a team that's a very good defense. And as Trevor J was saying in the chat last night, some of the people on the NBA TV were talking about the Raptors just showed how to take apart the champion Celtics last night in the preseason. Yeah, that's pretty cool. In some ways, it was an aggressiveness. In some ways, it was a fast pace. In some ways, it was coming at them quickly and kind of trying around them and trying to mess up their defensive schemes. It was very effective. In fact, the faster we went, the more we kept them guessing, the more we had them moving all around, the better we did. Whether it was the cuts, whether it was transition, whether it was Scotty just being ballsy and taking big threes over these guys' outstretched arms. Yeah. In some ways, we wrote a little book on how this is how you can maybe take apart the Celtics for the rest of the league. In some ways, I could see that. That's right. Trevor's saying the Raptors put the end of the Celtics preseason, put an end. Man, Trevor, you got to clean it up. I know you're doing voice to text because you're talking it too, but you've got to say it straight because I can't read this right, man. Raptors put the end to Celtics preseason run. I love it. The end. You mean Raptors put an end to the yeah, they won 4 in a row, and now they're 4-1, a blemished record, not perfect with the 5-0 because the Raptors did that last night. And now we still want to try and get a winning record in the preseason to be 3-2, and that'd be awesome. The Nets, in some ways, they're very beatable, and if we're going to play like we did last night against the Celtics, yeah, we're going to beat them in Brooklyn on Friday night, especially if Emmanuel quickly returns to the lineup, which is very likely, very, very likely, guys. Very likely. Kareem Thomas is here, the butt dialer, our number one dunker in this channel, our dunk champion. He does the Vince Carter dunks here. Let's see what we learned. Hang on, it jumped. I don't know why it jumped like that. Wow, there's a lot in there already. What we learned last night, Scotty was the best player on the floor against 2 All-Stars, 2 gold medalists, and 2 NBA champs. We are ready. Unfortunately, the NBA isn't. Buckle up, bitches. Trevor, Kareem is hyped now. He is hyped. Kareem is hyped. And I you know what? I am too to a degree. But also at the same time, we got to understand this is preseason. Celtics fans are saying, well, this one doesn't count because it's the preseason. And it's true. In some ways, it's sad because in some ways, we would love to have this W on a regular season record if it was a regular season game. That would have been awesome. But we'll have to go and do it for real when the regular season does happen, when we do get to play the Celtics. So yeah, it's fun. In some ways, this season's going to be tumultuous. This season's going to be challenging, but in some ways, it could be very inspiring and exciting, like last night, because of unexpected progress and great stuff happening with the Raptors getting a W. Probably when they shouldn't have. Probably when they were not likely to get one. So I like that. Trevor's saying Raptors show the best of the NBA is what? Raptors show the best of the NBA. If come have Steven to us, you gonna get smoked. All right, man, Trevor, it's really bad today. It's really, really bad. I don't know if your autocorrect or your text thing is something's wrong. You're trying to say half steppin', but you said Stefan. Okay. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. My brain is not working completely. And with Trevor's tough to read comments, it's not coming through right. Normally I can read around them and kind of fix them, but for some reason I'm not getting his comments today. Cowboy saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Dap to you, Cowboy. Monique, let's go. What a game. Yeah, Mo down at the arena getting her book from Jennifer, the Above the Noise signed copy. And just, man, Mo, you did it. You did it. We're proud of you, Superfan Mo. You once again went down there with the vibes perfect. And, well, look what happened. What a toe-to-toe game. You love the excitement of the back and forth. And, of course, you love the outcome where the Raptors got the big W at the end of it by 1. That was fantastic. Monique, thank you for going down there and being the spirit of the Raptor Freak family down there and bringing the vibes correct to help our guys win. Man, Mo, I give you so much credit because I know when you're there, you bring it right. And you really did once again last night. Wow. In some ways, I wish I had been at the game last night. In some ways, I had a feeling they might win this one. You know, Scott Foster's a weird guy. Scott Foster is, at one point he did a little smack back at Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum at the beginning of the second half got a offensive foul called on him by Scott Foster at one point. And in some ways, it's like Scott Foster is showing, yeah, I'm still in charge, motherfucker. And, Jason Tatum was kind of like, ugh. And then the whole take foul with Jonathan Mobo. When they went and reviewed that, I was like, this is a perfect time for them to screw us over with weird things saying that Derek White was ahead of Jonathan in that one play where he got a fantastic steal. He absolutely stole that ball from Jason Tatum in a fantastic way, Jonathan Mobo. But I was worried that Foster was going to screw us because he could have said that Derek White was ahead of him and it wasn't a take foul, but he didn't. He didn't. He did it just and fair. And in some ways, that went a long way with me, Scott Foster, that you didn't do some sort of weird shit. Now, Bill Kennedy was in the replay center, and Bill Kennedy's a very, very friendly referee to the Raptors. Bill Kennedy, we love you. And in some ways, he may have been in charge of adjudicating that call with Scott Foster. And, either way, they got it right. Now, the refs weren't totally fair. They gave so many more free throws to the Celtics than the Raptors last night, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter if there was a little bit of 8-on-5 because the Raptors came correct and they were messing them up. And we shot way better than the Celtics, even if they got more free throw opportunities than us. In certain ways, that was annoying. Maybe that was a little bit of ref manipulation, but we overcame it. And that we proved that we can overcome a free throw discrepancy and a discrepancy in where the fouls are being called. So, yeah, badasses. Raptors, you guys were badasses last night. It wasn't just our starters. The bench guys came in and carried it too. DJ Carton, major props to you. DJ Carton, major props for making 4 very crucial free throws right at the end of the game. That's why I love you being on our two-way, because you are a professional. You take things seriously, I can tell. And the way you attacked that rim and got to the line was very badass. And the gutsiness of hitting the floor. First of all, Carlson getting after it, hitting the floor, tipping the ball, then Jamison Battle rolling around in there, battling with the Celtics to get that loose ball, and then him lofting it up over to DJ Carton, and DJ Carton attacking and almost throwing it right on that guy's head. Honestly, that play would have been nasty. DJ Carton had Russell Westbrook to that poor guy that tried to come up at him and defend the rim when he came out there. But no, the big guy was big enough to divert him, and he wasn't able to finish clean. But that would have been a highlight and a half if DJ Carton would have been able to throw it down on that guy's head at that moment. Yeah, those were such key plays. And in some ways, it showed a real confidence in Darko to talk to guys like Jamias Ramsey and DJ Carton and say, you guys are in charge now. And this is a very close game. And I want to see you guys show good leadership and closing this game out in the right way and being smart. And DJ Carton going to get to the free throw line 2 trips in a row right at the end was crucial to us winning last night. And then even more crucial, hitting both those trips, but all 4 free throws. That's high pressure shit. And Carton, man, you got some major kudos. And Gerald's going to say the MVP was Brandon Carlson. No, I'm going to say that it was DJ Carton because he made those points happen that got us the 1 point above the Celtics at the end. That was amazing. That was so good. So good. Cowboys saying Grady is fucking awesome when he's playing like that. I'm a starter and no one's taking my spot. Grady, yeah, I think Grady's got the starting spot at this point. I mean, he's been, he's expanded his game so much. I love the information that came out in the last day about how they worked together this summer. Kansas Jayhawks, Oshai Agbaji and Grady Dick, and they were learning from each other. And this is really cool. They talked about it during the game where Grady was giving shooting tips to Oshai and Oshai was giving defensive tips to Grady. And in some ways, we can see it kind of rubbing off on each other so far. Now, Abaji's not making threes like crazy, but Grady's definitely playing defense better. So whatever Agbaji and Evo and James Wade were doing this summer, kibitzing and working together, practicing at Kansas University, it was good work for Grady on his defense. And Agbaji, he had a great game last night too. So yeah, really love that kind of stuff going on with them right now. It's fantastic. Cowboys saying also, Lex, can you explain that Mobo foul with Pritchard? I don't get it. To get that extra shot from Sheeps? What? To get that extra shot? The take foul. Well, basically, are you talking about the take foul, right? Well, basically, the rule is that, all right, they wanted the NBA wanted to stop people from fouling cheesy, just stop fast breaks and dunks. And basically, what Mobo did was he caught Jason Tatum slipping, and he got his hand inside, and he stole the ball from Jason. And he got by Jason. It was all clean. There was no foul by Mobo. And basically, Jason just grabbed him to slow him down when he had an open path to just run it down and dunk it. That's a clear path. That's a take foul. The take foul is something they instituted a couple years ago because they wanted to stop people from doing cheesy shit like that because they want the highlight. Well, it only happens if there's nobody down the court ahead of Mobo. And there was kind of a little look like Derek White might have been past him lower on the court, but he wasn't. And that was the correct call by Scott Foster. So in a take foul, the team continues to have possession and they get an extra free throw. And because it's not a foul necessarily that Jonathan Mobo has to take the shot, Jemias Ramsey took the take foul free throw and he made it. In some ways, it's because he's a better free throw shooter. And Darko has the choice to put whoever he wants on the take foul because they continue to have possession. So that's what it is right there. I think that's what you're wanting to ask me about, Cowboy. It's when these guys grab guys when they have an open lane to run a fast break, and they're not playing on the ball. He just grabbed his arm. It'd be one thing if Jason Tatum tried to swipe at the ball and he fouled him that way. That is not a take foul. But he just kind of grabbed him to slow him down after he beat him by stealing the ball. That's a take foul. And that's a free throw for the team and a possession also afterwards. And that's what it is right there. Yeah. Nako's saying one complaint. They fell asleep a little in the second. Well, we've got to understand Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics are the champs. And they got a lot of pride, Nako. And, well, in some ways, we had to keep up a certain level of play to compete with them the whole entire game to win, and we did. And at some points, yeah, they're going to be a little lackadaisical, little lulls. And there's also going to be the excellence of Tatum and Brown showing up and trying to get us. And that was really their time to shine. In some ways, Tatum and Brown got their points. And they got them in certain ways there. They were talking about how Jaylen Brown was working inside way more physically down in the post and not taking as many outside shots. But that's the thing. These guys have pride. They were trying to win, and they had to come back and erase that deficit. They were in trouble with their coach. And in some ways, their coach probably lit a fire in their ass after the first quarter and said, you guys look at the scoreboard. Y'all are the champs. And look, what did y'all do to them on Sunday and what's going on today? So there was some Celtic pride that showed up in the second quarter to even things out by halftime. And, yeah, that second quarter was a Celtics quarter for sure because they outscored us 40-20. They doubled us up in that quarter, and they ate up the great lead that we built in the first quarter. So it was tough. It was tough. Bryce is here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. It's so invigorating seeing Oshai and Davion play well. These bench guys getting these minutes and capitalizing is beautiful. I wonder what a good game versus a healthy team with a healthy team looks like. Scary. Good morning to you, Bryce, holding it down for the Raptor Streak family down in Kentucky. Yeah. Listen, these guys were fantastic. Let me do my stars of the game real quick because it's basically the starters. I have to give a lot of credit to the stars last night. My number one star of the game is obviously Scotty. Scotty was fantastic, man. He came out, set the tone right away. 30 minutes on the court with 26 points, a +6. He was 10 of 17 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. Those 5 threes were badass, and he had so much confidence in shooting them. This is crazy. If this is going to be Scott on every once in a while basis this year, he's going to be so nasty. Up his game so much that his three-point shot is so much more deadly. It's going to be like a really interesting thing that happens with this. And plus, he was going in and hitting little mid-ranges too. Like, I love the little work he was doing in the middle of the lane, the stop and pop, going to the open space and just elevating and shooting over guys. There was a lot of that too. So he was mixing it up. It was either 3 or mid-range and a little bit of post for Scotty Barnes last night. He made his only free throw attempt. Fantastic stuff. He was just 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. And as the broadcast crew said, we're going to be on triple-double watch for Scotty Barnes most of the season. He got the 10 assists. He got the 26 points, but he was just 1 rebound shy of that triple-double from there. It says preseason. It doesn't matter. It won't count. If he got the triple-double last night, it wouldn't go towards his triple-double count. So in some ways, who cares? 1 steal, but he did have 5 turnovers. But the 10-5 assist to turnover ratio is way better. 2-1, 2 assists to 1 turnover. 10-5. That's perfect, Scott. That's way, way better than the assist to turnover ratios that you had in the first 2 preseason games you played. So kudos to Scotty Barnes, rising to the challenge of his rivals and saying, I'm the best player on this court against the champion Boston Celtics, who have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I'm going to be the best player on this court. And you were, my guy. You were. You established that. You were the best player on the court. And that's why I wear your jersey today, Scott, in honor of you. I love you, man. And I'm sorry if I was hard on you on Monday, but some of you need to hear the tough stuff to wake up and just sometimes say, remember who you are, Scott. You are Scotty Barnes, and you are an all-powerful NBA player that can do whatever the fuck he wants on that court. And sometimes you just need to remember that and go out there and show it once again, because you were the best player. You're better than Jason Tatum. You're better than Jaylen Brown. You're better than anybody else on that court last night. You were. That's right. My second star of the game is obviously Mr. Dick. That's right. 32 minutes, 27 points. Once again, I love it when these guys get close to their minutes total in points. And 27, listen, Grady, this is happened a couple games now in preseason where you're getting a lot of points easy and fast like it's nothing. Yeah. In some ways, you're making scoring look easy compared to what Gary Trent Jr. was doing for us last year. How much Gary struggled with it, how much you're thriving, and how much you're just throwing in points like crazy throughout the game. And it's varied. It's varied. I love the stuff with the cuts underneath the basket where Scotty just loops you real quick. And he was just like laying it in right in front of them. And some of the shots you're making down low with contested, you're just really smart at finishing, whether it's to go high off the glass or whatnot. You're doing it and then dialing in when you're open on the threes. You are such a weapon. And I was so wrong about the Raptors drafting you. And Bobby and Masai, I got to trust you guys because Grady Dick is something more that I could see when he was at Kansas in the NBA. In fact, I'm shocked just how much Grady Dick is an NBA player that I did not think he was. I thought he was just some dopey blonde kid from Kansas, and he'd never be strong enough to do things in this league. Well, I was wrong. I was dead wrong. And I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong because I was very, very wrong. This kid has a high aptitude, a high motor. He's a hustle play. He's also got a dialed-in dead-eye shot. And what can you not like about it? 12 for 21 last night. Grady, they asked Grady about him getting the highest shot totals in a lot of these games lately. He's been getting the most field goal attempts over Scott even as far as stuff. And that's fantastic. Keep feeding him. He's a scorer. Keep feeding him. Is Scotty's guarded and he's not getting a shot? Well, Grady's a great outlet. He's a great person to be taking the shots because he's a high percentage shooter. And he's shooting it from different places on the court. In fact, we saw Grady do a little baby hook at one point. He was feeling so good. It's like, why not just run across the lane and just try and loft up a little baby hook? It didn't go in, but it fully could have, honestly, because it had good fundamentals, and it could have gone in, seriously. So, yeah, 12 of 21, 3 of 8 from 3. In some ways, it wasn't even the threes that he was doing it off of. In some ways, Scotty was the three-point shooter, and Grady was like the cutter and I'm going to lay it up kind of guy. He also got 6 rebounds, and he had 2 steals. He was a +16. So really, really good work by our second-year player, Grady Dick. And honestly, I think you could cement yourself in for that starting shooting guard spot. I don't know if I honestly think that he is our fifth starter. I don't even think there's much of a debate at this point because of what he's been showing in preseason right now. There's something that's been happening. People are winning roles on our team. They are winning roles. Like, Scotty, you are the franchise face. I've just seen what happened last night. You won that role. Grady Dick, yeah, you're going to be one of the starters. You're going to be probably the fifth starter with the barbecue yak. Because, Jamison Battle, I think he might have won a role on this team. I'm not going to lie. I think he has. Seriously. I mean, we can see people are taking and conquering and taking what they want on this Raptors team because they're going out there and getting it. And in some ways, Grady Dick is getting that starting spot. My third star of the game is Jakob Poeltl, the birthday boy. He had a double-double, 15 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists. Jakob was a plus 25, the highest plus, or the second highest plus minus after Oshai, but one of the highest, 6 for 8 from the field, made all 3 of his free throws, which is a challenge at times for Jakob. We know Jakob in 3 free throws can be a little bit of an odyssey, but man, Jakob, in some ways, he pushes it so weird when he pushes the free throw, and sometimes it can be a little heart-wrenching when it's rolling around and doing a little bit of an up flip and then falls in. But yeah, Jakob 3 for 3 at the free throw line is fantastic. 4 offensive rebounds was big time. He's in there fighting. And in some ways, we see intangibles with Jakob Poeltl that have nothing to do with defense or rebounding, but they have to do with screens. They have to do with creating space on offense. They have to do with reading the floor and allowing for other guys to flourish. In some ways, the way that Grady and Scotty went off last night are partly because Jakob Poeltl is out there helping them by moving people around. In fact, there was this really goofy play at one point in the game where Scotty and Jakob got hung up on a double screen. They were not supposed to be screening together, but the byproduct of it, which is absolutely very positive, because in some ways Jakob screened everybody away from Scott, and he's bombing a 3 all of a sudden. So even their mistakes when they were kind of cluttered up on a double screen that wasn't supposed to be like that. You saw that moment where Scotty and Jakob were right on top of each other at the top of the key, just above the free throw line. And then all of a sudden, Scotty's curling out to the three-point line, and Jakob's taking a bunch of defenders with him. And Scotty's got open 3 bombing, right, like that. Even the mistakes look good because they figured it out with the spacing. And it's just a savviness of Jakob Poeltl and knowing spacing and playing the league for 9 years now. He just knows his shit. And then also, his touch and the way he catches some of the balls is absolutely incredible because most big men would fumble some of the shit that Jakob Poeltl has to get from passes from people. It's amazing. Now, we'll say this. Y'all stop trying to throw the ball to Chris Boucher over his head. That's happened 2 games in a row now. It's Davion Mitchell trying to throw the ball to Chris Boucher over his head. That's not a good way to try and pass to somebody. This isn't the football where you're throwing it over a wide receiver's head so they can drop it in the pocket. No. Don't do that shit. Because in some ways, you can't throw the ball to somebody who has their back to you. I'm sorry. You've done that twice in 2 games. But Poeltl's amazing, guys. And happy birthday, Jakob Poeltl. What a great, amazing birthday. You get the 1-point win, big smiles all over the place. The Raptors feeling good. And what a great 29th birthday for our big man, Jakob Poeltl. I love it so much. Oh, my gosh. My 4th star of the game is Oshai Abaji. As we're going down the starters, he had the highest plus minus of everybody, a plus 29. And he woke up offensively a bit in this game, 7 of 11. That's great because honestly, in Oshai's Raptor career, most games he's not shooting well. He is not shooting well, but him going 7-11 last night was fantastic. In fact, he showed a little bit more confidence on his offense last night, which is a great sign. But Darko's saying after the game, it's like, I don't expect shooting from Oshai. That's not what we want him for. And we've been saying this on this channel for people that have been wanting Oshai to expand his offensive game too much. That's not what Darko wants. He wants him to play the defensive stuff. He wants him to take the challenge of trying to lock up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And in some ways, he was very successful on that side of the ball, trying to stop those champion Celtics, those top 2. But, 7-11 from the field, 1 of 4 from the free three-point line. He did miss a free throw. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, plus 29 with 16 points. That's good stuff. That's solid stuff. Good stuff on defense that doesn't show up on the box score. Just an active irritant, a very strong athletic player doing all kinds of stuff. And once again, the chemistry between Oshai and Grady's strong. And we even saw some good, strong chemistry between Abaji and Barnes last night also. And that's fantastic. That is fantastic. And as somebody said in the comments already, Davion Mitchell and Oshai Abaji are going to be bench players for us this year. And they looked very strong as starters last night. So we're going to have some good quality players coming off the bench. And hopefully Oshai can play at a high level off the bench, even if he doesn't get the starters minutes. But yeah, really, really good game by Oshai Abaji. He's a big part of why we won last night. He was, obviously with the plus minus being so high for him, plus 29, guys. for Ochai Agbaji on the floor. He must have been doing something right when we outscored the Celtics, the champs, by 30 while he was on the court. The last star of the game for me is the fifth starter, Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell got 10 assists. In fact, we learned something about Davion Mitchell and his point guard skills. They're not necessarily a half-court point guard skills where we're going to set it up and he's going to lob it into somebody in the post or try and get somebody that way. No, the way Mitchell likes to get assists is in transition. And we saw a beautiful thread the needle pass on the Celtics that was absolutely insane that he got to Grady Dick. In fact, watching Davion Mitchell run the break and kind of with his court vision was absolutely refreshing and fun. In fact, it's very, very, very conducive for the personnel that is around him on the Raptors. When RJ gets back and he's healthy, when Jonathan Mobo and Chris Boucher and Scotty Barnes are running them wings and Davion Mitchell has that kind of court awareness and that kind of passing skill, look out. Look out. You don't think he's going to throw a ball up the court to RJ Barrett and he's going to throw it down on somebody real nice? Yeah. Last night, it was that thread the needle, Grady Dick, and him finishing it through traffic. That was such high-level passing in transition by Davion Mitchell. Such high level. That was a beautiful pass. That may have been one of the best passes that's happened for the Raptors in the last 5 years. Seriously, in a preseason game, in a game like that. But yeah, Davion, man, awesome stuff. Really, really good stuff. 3 for 7. Not necessarily offense, but it's just kind of the floor directing, and he did a way better job on Peyton Pritchard than the first game that they played against him. He did. He even said it in between. He's like, him and Shed said, we did not do a good job with Peyton. We let him do too much and mess us up. Well, we're going to show that we want to do better because we take pride in being defensive guards, Davion and Jamal, and they did. They did better. Mitchell took the task way, way better this time. Pritchard was starting because Drew Holiday did not come across the border and come to Canada. And, he got a second chance to show, I'm going to stop Peyton this time. And he did. He did a good job. He did a really good job. 3 rebounds also and a steal. Yeah, good job. +8, 9 points in 31 minutes. Davion Mitchell, my fifth star of the game. Now, the bench was great. Honestly, they did a good job filling in on the time in different places, but nobody was a real standout in a major way. Chris Boucher coming in 1 for 4. He missed all 3 of his 3-pointers, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 points. Didn't really play a whole lot. He was more in the second quarter when we weren't doing very well, but he didn't get to play as much at all, if anything, in the second half. So Boucher, not his best game in preseason. He's done very well in preseason, though. And I think that in some ways people are trying to earn stuff on this team. I think that, like Monique said, that Chris Boucher has earned a roster rotation spot, that he should be in the rotation because he's very, very valuable. Bruno Fernando, you know what? In some ways, I got to give Bruno a lot of credit. He's in trouble. His hair was big and poofy last night. And in some ways, he's in trouble because in some ways, he's not playing the most best out of the people trying to make this team. But he did play well last night. He really did. He was a -13, which is kind of annoying. 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 steal. He did have 4 turnovers, and he did foul out. That was another weird thing is that call on Bruno when he fouled out was kind of a bullshit call. It was kind of where Scott Foster was kind of trying to give the Celtics an easier chance to win because that was an offensive foul late in the game on Bruno Fernando, and it was a stoppage of play, and it kind of hurt our momentum for a second. But it didn't matter, and we had Carlson come in for him, and it ended up Carlson made a big, huge defensive play right at the end of the game. But that was interesting when Bruno fouled out, and that change had to happen. That was, in fact, very much a ref manipulation to try and help the Celtics still win the game. But I have to give so much credit to our Raptors for steadying the ship amongst that kind of stuff and still executing and making sure that they ended up on top. And that's a fantastic thing. So, Bruno, I can't get mad at you. In some ways, you were out there working hard, and you did rebound like your position should. 7 rebounds in 14 minutes, including 4 offensive rebounds. That was big time, Bruno. And in some ways, look, it may be too little too late as far as what you've done in the preseason to make our team. But, man, you did have a game last night, and you were a big part of why we won. In some ways, Jamison Battle got into the game in the first quarter, and that is a big signal right there, guys. In some ways, they're listening to us. They're listening to the fans on social media, maybe on the Raptor Street channel, because we said we want to see Jamison Battle earlier in the game, in the Sunday game against Boston in Boston. But we got that in the game last night. We got Jamison Battle entering the game in the first quarter, and it was great because, in fact, he was productive and he did good things right from the start. He showed. The thing about it is he made a couple threes, 2 for 5 from 3, 3 for 7 overall. He made 1 rebound, 1 assist, and he was a -15 with 8 points. The thing about Battle, though, that I really liked about last night was his hustle. In some ways, he's an undersized guy in some ways for his position. But the fact that that one play that I talked about where Carlson hit the floor, he kept the ball alive. It was such a fight. It was like a 50-50 fight, and the Celtics are the champs, and they get after it too. Everybody's hitting the grabbing for the ball. And Carlson gets at the Battle. Battle gets in the middle of it, and he's like, yeah, we're going to fight and scrap for this. Then he lofts the ball over to Carton. That play told me so much about Battle and his willingness and his hustle. In some ways, I see a lot of parallels between Jamison Battle and Grady Dick. And I want to do something right now. And I did it in the chat last night. Y'all are going to laugh at this. You remember how we had Fred VanVleet, and then there was Malachi, and we called him Red VanVleet? Well, I think that in the same way that is Fred and Malachi, I think this is Grady and Jamison. And I'm going to start calling Jamison Battle Ready Dick. Ready Dick. Yeah. Not like ready, like he's ready, but like ready, like Reddy, because he's got kind of that, same vibe as Malachi with Fred. And in some ways, is Ready Dick. You got Grady Dick and Ready Dick. Ready Dick going to come off the bench and bomb threes just like Grady Dick would. So in some ways, I'm really, really pressing for Jamison Battle to win this camp battle to make the final roster for our team. And why not 4-1-6? Let's have 6 rookies this year instead of just 5 and put Jamison Battle on the final roster. Because honestly, he's shown a professionalism and a level of dependability and execution that is, in some ways, we need more 3-point shooting on this team. I'm going to make that argument for this. In fact, tomorrow, the Thursday Think Tank is going to be final roster spot. Who do you think should make the team? And you can make your argument. Some people will say maybe we need Bruno Fernando for more size. Some people may say we need the two-way greatness of Jamias Ramsey. Either way, we're going to talk about this tomorrow on the Thursday Think Tank, the final roster spot for the Raptors, and we're going to go over a little bit of what we think. But right now, I think it's battles to be won. Seriously. And I love it, man. He made a couple threes, and he keeps it going. Because if Grady comes out, we want to have another great 3-point shooting threat that is available. And in some ways, Jamison has just shown that in Summer League and in preseason so far. In some ways, this guy from Ohio State was not supposed to make this team. But the way he is doing things, he's earning it, Darko and Masai and Bobby. He's earning his spot. Seriously. I see what he's doing out there. He's earned it. He's earning it. And let's see if he puts the final exclamation point on earning it on Friday in Brooklyn against the Nets. But, man, Jamison Battle, you're awesome. Mobo had a rough game last night. In some ways, Jonathan Mobo had the worst plus-minus on our team last night. He was a minus 28. When we were he was out on the court, we were losing. And in some ways, it was tough. But he was energy. He was out there doing stuff. He was involved. And if anything, it's a tough game. He's learning. But you know what? In some ways, Mobo's showing that he's the most useful out of all the rookies as far as a utility, a glue guy, a guy that can just go out there and be an active defender and rebounder and just kind of be plugged in. And it's not necessarily about him scoring in some ways. Now, he may hurt us because he's not a good outside shooter, and that may hurt us in some ways. But if we just need somebody to be out there and another energy guy like Chris Boucher, well, Jonathan Mobo is showing that right now. But, yeah, he had a tough game, 0 for 1. He didn't score last night. He got 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal in 14 minutes. And, yeah, he had 2 turnovers and 2 fouls. So it was a little bit of a tough game. But Jonathan's been impressing me. He impressed me in Boston in the game there. And, he's had 2 good games and 2 bad games so far in the preseason. But he's a rookie. And, man, he's coming from a junior college, and he's coming to this. This is insane. Carlson, of course, we went over the big one play at the end. They did take the block away, so he didn't officially get a block for that play. All he did was kind of just get in the way and mess up the shot to make sure they didn't make it, because he didn't actually touch the ball, honestly, guys. I don't think he did. Now, Mobo, just backtracking a second, that was hilarious when he grabbed the rim and he threw the ball down like that, and they didn't count it. I mean, it looks so impressive. And, Album's saying, you got to count that. You got to count that. But, no, you can't count that with the man just grabbing the rim to hold himself up. But it looked cool. It definitely looked cool, that one play that Mobo got goaltending on. Ramsey was interesting. Ramsey got a little bit of get back against the Celtics last night. He was smiling at one point in the fourth quarter. I could tell. And in some ways, Jamias Ramsey really relished the opportunity to be in a close game against his former team. And not only that, against the top guys on the former team with Derek White and Jason Tatum and them coming out and still playing at times against him and taking it to him. Now, Ramsey didn't do a whole lot. He was 1 for 6, including 1 3, one free throw. So he got 4 points, 1 rebound, and 1 turnover. But yeah, Ramsey was smiling, and he got a little bit of get back against the Celtics last night, and that was nice. I'd like to see Ramsey happy like that. But it may be he knows he's going to get cut too. In some ways, he knows. In some ways, it does look like he probably will. Jamal Shed got hurt, and that was interesting that Jamal got hurt because in some ways that was a blessing in disguise. In some ways, we may not have won this game if Jamal Shed had continued playing the game. I know that sounds crazy, but in some ways, Jamal getting hurt was actually probably a good thing because that meant more Ramsey and Carton later. And those guys absolutely carried us off the bench in the second half as far as keeping the continuity from Scotty and Grady being out and keeping some sort of level of something. So I got to give so much credit to DJ Carton and Jamias Ramsey. There was a point where they took, because mostly we've been playing Davion or Shed or Carton out there at all times. So there's always a point guard. But there was a point in time because Shed's hurt and Davion was out and Carton didn't come in yet that Jamias Ramsey had to run the point for a little bit. And Darko said, yeah, Jamias, I want you to run the point for a little while now. And he did. And he was fine. So it's such a luxury to have such good backup point guards all of a sudden. This has been one of the weakest spots on the Raptors roster since Tampa, since the beginning of Tampa. And we know why. And now we've got 3 capable backup point guards, actually 4 when IQ comes back and Mitchell goes to the bench. And that's great because we have different looks. And in some ways, if somebody like Shed gets hurt, then boom, we have the next guy up, DJ Carton. And he's absolutely a great combo guard who can play a little bit of point guard, but also can actually try and go score and take over himself. So good stuff. Yeah, Carton was 0 for 3, and he only had 4 points, but they were all at the free throw line, and they were such crucial 4 points. The last 4 points the Raptors scored in the game to make sure that they won this game by 1. So you tell me DJ Carton didn't have an important part in this game, hitting 4 very crucial free throws right at the end. Then he had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 0 turnovers. So very, very good game for the bench. We did not see Shamshay, and we did not see Jared Rhoden, which is saying a lot also. That Jared Rhoden did not get into this game. But fantastic all-around effort. A good job setting the table, Scotty and Grady, and then bench. Continuing to carry the continuity to a quality level that is enough to keep the Celtics down and losing still. And that's important. That's very, very important. A lot of learning and a lot of growth. And you know what? This kind of stuff makes these guys feel good. And they, this is a really good feather in their cap. In some ways, it's like, in some ways, Scotty just proved it's like we could do anything we want if we play at a certain way in a certain way together. Once again, part of it is the assist came back for the team. We get connected. We get a lot of assists. Well, we're winning. We're winning is what I'm saying right there. Yeah. It's so awesome, man. Kareem's got the arrows pointing at Mo. That's right. Needs to be there every game. She's our hidden gem and the Raptors' lucky charm. Yeah. I mean, if they could have Monique at every single home game, that'd be awesome. If Monique could do that, she goes to most of them. So it is very likely that she will be at like 80% of the games, Kareem. So hopefully it's like that. That's right. Cowboys saying, bring on the Nets. Good luck. Yeah, Jordy, we love you. Thank you for being our coach of Canada. And thank you doing the things you do. Thank you, Dennis Schroeder, for being a great professional, somebody I very much respect and like a lot. But yeah, we're going to have to beat your ass on Friday night. And I'm so excited. In some ways, a game like last night reinvigorates a Raptors fan spirit for getting ready for the season and being like, I'm ready. Let's see some more of this. That game was fun last night. And boy, is it fun to see our young players like Barnes and Dick get better and better. Because they look really good last night. They look really, really good. Look at that. Cowboys got Mo on blast. I love it. Smooth saying Sacramento is on the verge of a huge deal. One of Brandon Ingram or Zach LaVine. Wow. That'd be weird if they brought Zach LaVine to Sacramento and paired him again with DeRozan. In some ways, I know that they're friends and they do like each other a lot. But in some ways, I don't like that. In some ways, it's like DeMar just got away from Zach. And why would you want to pair them up again there? I'd say Sacramento, go get Ingram. Go get Ingram. That's the better player between the two. Forget about LaVine. You've already dealt with the Bulls getting DeRozan. In some ways, signing him. In some ways, you got their player. You don't need Zach LaVine. Trust me. You want Ingram if you got a choice. Yeah, that's what I would say on that. Smooth saying, don't know how DeMar would fit with either of those guys, though. Well, we know how DeMar would fit with Zach LaVine because of years of playing together in Chicago. And in some ways, they worked well together, but in some ways, they step on each other's toes, too. And that's why I would wonder, why the fuck do they want Zach LaVine over there? I would say go get the Pelican. Go get Ingram. That's the better choice. In some ways, he brings you some other stuff that may be more helpful in the Western Conference. is what I would say right there. Yeah, Smooth saying he might have to be a 6-man. Who? Zach LaVine or whoever? I don't know. In some ways, I don't care. It's Kings freak stuff to talk about. That's right. Cowboys saying Carlson, with the block to finish it, we're gonna dismantle Brooklyn. We don't even need sneakers, but on them cowboy boots. Put on them cowboy boots? What? What? But put some Spurs on them. Now, we're not the Spurs. And speaking of the Spurs, I did go look at their position battle to make the team, and Malachi Flynn is looking on the inside. He's on the outside looking in. And it's between him, Brandon Boston, and Malachi Branham. So in some ways, he's not even the best Malachi trying to make the Spurs right now. It's very likely that out of those 3 guys, 2 of them are going to get cut, and one's going to make the team. And if you're asking me who I think is going to make it, it's going to be Branham. In some ways, they've already got more time invested in Malachi Branham than Malachi Flynn. Now, Bob has said nice things about Flynn, saying, "Oh, he's a hard-nosed guy. He's a great shooter." But I'm telling you right now, Spurs Nation is going to cut Malachi Flynn, and they'll have Malachi Branham making that last roster spot. I don't know, Brandon Boston or whatever. He could be he could maybe make it, but I don't see Flynn making that team down there. I really don't. I really, really don't. Talking about the Spurs, Cowboy. Kareem saying Jakob, 15 points, 14 rebounds was outstanding. He's looking a little leaner to help with agility and stamina up and down the court. Good morning, Oshai. Glad to see you wake up. Battle came in ready to shoot. Yeah. I can't argue or disagree with any of what you're saying here. Pirtle, I was a little worried that he looked a little more lithe, a little more skinny at media day. And but it's actually working out really well. Like you said, he's mobile is very good. In some ways, we just want to keep him light. He's still strong. He's still long and lean and able to block shots and stuff. That's one thing we haven't seen a lot from him yet. Preseason is blocking shots. It's really kind of been more picks and spacing and, it's a lot of light touch. In some ways, Pirtle's been taking a lot more shots than I think we would like him to early on, but part of it's outlet and safety, just in case the shot clock's running down. Some of it's also maybe we're working hard to try and get shots, open shots on the outside, and he's just the easy dump or easy way to get a shot easy somewhere. Because in some ways it's not ideal for Pirtle to take so many shots. In some ways, it's much better for Grady, Scotty, and RJ and Emmanuel to take those shots. But right now, Pirtle's taking a little bit more of the offensive brunt of things, I guess, with IQ and RJ out. So that could change very dramatically when our New York guys come back. So I could see that. Yeah. What else you're saying about there? You're talking about good morning, Oshai. Yeah, Oshai was nice. Oshai was great. In some ways, he was good offensively and defensively last night. And that's fantastic. In some ways, like Darko said, we get him on the defensive end. That's what we want. The offensive stuff is just gravy on top. That's right. And Battle did come in ready to shoot. And honestly, he's automatic. He is automatic. In fact, he has such a weird flip shot. It's like he does really flip it with his hand, but it's so good. And in some ways, I'm excited. Hopefully, Battle will make this team. I very much advocate for him to make this team. Smooth saying, didn't watch the Raptors last night. I know Grady and Scotty had big games. That's good. Yeah, you should have. I know in some ways people maybe didn't watch the game because, this is going to be a game where they get blown out. They're going to have to play against the starters. And in some ways, I was worried about that. When I heard that news yesterday afternoon that Jalen and Jason were going to be playing, I was like, oh, hell, it's going to be a long night. Because, why would I not think that after the way we played on Sunday? That if we're going to play against our B team and be beat like that in a really embarrassing way, why wouldn't I think there was going to be much worse today? And I can understand. This is the thing for Raptors fans. They got to understand. It doesn't matter the challenge. It doesn't matter the team we're playing. It could be the champs, and it could be their absolute best team, but we should never be counted out. And in some ways, this is where casual Raptors fans, and I'm not saying you are one, Smooth. I'm not saying that. This is where they miss out. Because we often don't watch games or don't tune in, or we leave games too early, and all of a sudden the Raptors do something amazing. This happens all the time. I found over the years. It really, really does. Yeah. Smooth saying, never been a preseason guy, even in my Houston days. Okay, so part of it is you're just not watching preseason because in some ways you want to get to it when it's real. I get that. I respect that. Cowboys saying Battle is a keeper. Doesn't hurt to have another southpaw on the team. Yeah, and a guy who shoots like him, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, the Celtics are stocked with fantastic shooters. In fact, Derek White was annoying the way he was taking so many threes last night and bombing them and making them left and right. Let's go look at the other team real quick. I want to give them some respect because they did have some nice performances. Jason Tatum, 9 for 22, 5 for 14 from three. Maybe he took too many threes. 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 24 points. He had that one play where he shook his defender and threw it down in our lane, and that was nasty. And then Derek White, 7 of 20, didn't shoot the best. These guys aren't shooting the best percentage. 5 of 14 also from three, with 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks for Derek White, 23 points. So, yeah, he was annoying. He's a top-level player for them. And in some ways, it's annoying. Like ESPN has the rankings out for the 50 through 10, the countdown that we were looking at yesterday. He's on there in a really weird place where I think he's way too high. Jaylen Brown, 6 of 15, missed all 5 of his threes. 7 and 9 at the free throw line, 1 assist, 1 steal, 19 points, a minus 26 for Jaylen Brown. So him being out there was not helping them. And then, Al Horford was out there for a bit running around. Pritchard was okay, 5 of 11. He did get 5 of 10 from three. So he was kind of annoying from three still. And then our bench way outplayed their bench. Jordan Walsh, not as big a deal in this game with only 7 points. Davidson had some shots that were annoying late. He hit that big three, and he was trying to help the Celtics win right at the end. He had some very, very nasty stuff right at the end with 12 points in only 5 minutes. So that was kind of interesting. That Tillman guy was kind of a joke. He was kind of annoying. He was getting a lot of rebounds, but he couldn't make a shot, and he was just kind of taking up space. Cornette, annoying, very, very much up near the rim. He was a plus 24, which was the best for them. So when Cornette was out there, the Celtics did better. He was perfect, 5 for 5 with 10 points and 6 rebounds. So he was pretty annoying. Yeah. But yeah, the Celtics, well, they got beat by 1 by the Raptors in the preseason. That's right. I love it. I love it. I love it. And they played Brown and Tatum. That's right. That's right. That's right. Smooth saying the only vivid memory of preseason was when Sedell Threet averaged 35 points per game to force his way onto the Sonics roster. That's interesting. So you really don't like preseason. That's weird, Smooth, because in some ways I like the battle of trying to make the team that battle's winning right now. In some ways, that's what I always look at in preseason. And then, of course, like if we're getting an entertaining game, because that's what they said. Last night was like a regular season game. Last night had a competitiveness and an entertainment value to it that's not normal for a preseason game. In some ways, you could have told me that that was a regular season game last night because the way it was going, the way that it was competitive. And, that's the thing. I get it. In some ways, this is the only preseason game at Scotiabank Arena, but it was worth the money. It was worth the trip down there for everybody who went down there because they got an entertaining game. I will say that. They really did. It really, really, really did. Isaac's here. Good to see the benevolent one holding it down in Ottawa, nation's capital. I really like the way Scotty spoke in the post-game interview. He really knew the key to a W and the importance of his role as a leader. So proud of you, SB4. Yeah, he was great in the interview. Once again, he's very media savvy at this point. His interview with Savannah Hamilton was top notch. And in some ways, you could tell he was very happy. As soon as the interview was over, he had a huge smile on his face. In some ways, this is what Scott wants. Scott wants to be a successful franchise face and team leader of the Raptors. And, well, last night he was. He very much was. He led that team very, very well last night and being the best player on the court against the champions. And you're right. The things that he said in the interview after the game were very much the right things, the right signals for a true leader, a good leader, and a guy that gets it. And in some ways, we saw it on the court with the connections between the Raptors. That that leadership is coming out, and the guys on the bench that weren't playing, they were having a blast too, and they're connected too. I love seeing how much Garrett Temple, Emmanuel Quickley are counseling our players, even if they're in street clothes. There's like all kinds of like Garrett Temple up talking to people. He's sitting next to Kobe Walter on the bench, and you can tell he's just mentoring and teaching that young man right away. He hasn't even played in the NBA yet. And then IQ being just such a really good teammate, jumping up and coming over and slapping guys and happy and just like, really, really proud of people like Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shedd and DJ Carton and Jemias Ramsey for what they do. Like when Carton came to throw it down, everybody was like, yeah, you're a badass. And then when you saw how Carlson closed it out and how they tussled his hair and pushed him around like that, that's just amazing team building. And that's a great memory that Brandon Carlson's going to have forever. In fact, let's do the Instagram stories real quick because that is in there. Scotty Barnes first, showing the highlights of his superb three-point shooting on his Instagram stories. Really, really fantastic stuff. The way you get your legs set and you really square up, Scott, and the rotation is really nice right now. I can tell why you're such a confident three-point shooter because you're doing it fundamentally correct. And that is absolutely fantastic. I love how Davion found you and you'd catch and shoot and swish. It's right through the net, no rim. And that's important. Brendan Carlson showing his highlight of the end of the game. And it's saying on NBA, the NBA posted Brendan Carlson, the NBA League, not NBA Canada, NBA League said Brendan Carlson saves the day in Toronto. After a pair of DJ Carton free throws puts the Raptors back up one, Carlson comes up with a game-saving rejection. Yeah, he didn't get credit for that block, but he definitely came in there and he got in the way. The Carlson wall was up to stop him. Zach Edey is celebrating that Scottie Pippen Jr. has been signed to a two-way by the Memphis Grizzlies. So his friend Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to be playing with him on the Grizzlies. So that's just a Zach Edey Instagram story real quick. There's Davion Mitchell with his thread the needle pass to Grady Dick in transition. That was a beautiful play. He threw that between Brown and Tatum. That is insane. That is an insane pass. And it's so gutsy, Davion Mitchell. You're a badass, man. Off day, you were on day yesterday. That's right. Nightmare, Davion, with all kinds of good stuff, with steals and all kinds of things going on. And just a great court awareness. And there's that fit coming into the game by Davion with the hoodie, wearing the hoodie. Yeah, it's Grady Dick. All kinds of highlights of him. They're taking it right to the hoop. Scotty's right next to him. He could dump it off to him. But no, the confidence is there. Take it to Tatum because he knows if he goes up and he misses it, Scotty's going to jump up and get the offensive rebound put back. And, Grady doing that little baby hook, he said it after the game. I did that baby hook because I knew I could get away with it because Jakob was there to clean it up. And that's exactly what happened. Grady runs through the lane, does his little baby hook. It's goofy. It doesn't go in, but Jakob's got perfect position to just corral it and put it back in. In fact, some of the putbacks by Jakob last night were very physical in putting back, and they were absolutely fantastic because he just kind of flip it up. He's getting hit. He flip it up, and it goes in. Really, really good stuff by the Raptors all around. Grady's fired up on his Instagram stories, and there's the fit walking into the game with the WC hat on. Jamal Shed showing his fit walking in. Looks like he's got his takeout food. He's got the peace symbol. There's Jonathan Mobo with his fit. He's got the peace symbol also. And there's his pink dinosaur backpack he's carrying there. But yeah, Broski, good job, guy. Go, go, go. There's Jamal McGlure showing the game day of Grady Dick. And good stuff. And there he is at the game. Jamal was at the game, of course, last night, celebrating and supporting the Raptors in the building to be there for the team. Let's see what else we got. Paul Jones celebrating the 30th season of Raptors broadcasting. Fantastic stuff. And there he is with a Grady Dick at the end. Raptors win. Let's go, Jonesy. Let's go. There's our friend Jennifer back at the game with her friends, ushering at the game. Very, very cool stuff seeing there, of course. And there she is with Monique. And very, very good close friend of Monique, the superfan Lawrence. Really happy to see the ushers and all the other staff back in Scotiabank Arena for another season down there. Very, very cool. Let's see. The Raptors official with the highlights of them shooting around before the game. Scotty was really ready and dialed in. Oshai with the dribble, all kinds of stuff. Really, really fantastic stuff. And let's see. SGA's walking into the game in his fit. There we go. We got a little bit of him. And there's Bruno Fernando's got some documentary on blast right now. I'm not sure what this documentary is. It looks like it's about an African player. But yeah, Bruno Fernando putting on blast some sort of documentary coming out. Wubbs showing his fit in Boston. But yeah, Jacoby learning from the bench. You need to learn on the court, my guy. And I'm excited to see what you can possibly contribute to the Raptors this season. Young rookie first rounder, Jacoby Walter. DJ Carton saying happy birthday to Jakob Poeltl on his Instagram with him in the big purple front, black back, 19. Jakob Poeltl. Man, what a great birthday for you, man. I didn't know if we get the win for you on your birthday, but we did. We did. Oh, yeah. And all during the game, I was saying, yeah, Raptors, this is 48 minutes. You got to do it the whole time. And if you can do it, that'll be very impressive because this Celtics team is going to surge up and try and take the lead by the end of it. And you guys, like the broadcast crew kept saying, Matt Devlin is saying the Raptors are taking the blows from the Celtics and matching them and staying ahead. And that's really good. As the Celtics make a little run in the second quarter, well, the Raptors respond and hold them off still. So that was fantastic stuff. And yeah, DJ Carton hitting the game-winning free throws. That's on his Instagram too. They have some sort of weird big head thing on Raptors 905 right now. There's Justice Winslow with a big head. I don't even understand that. And yeah, there's Gary Trent Jr. in the Bucks jersey. That's your Instagram stories for today. Yeah, good stuff. Carlson, Carton, you guys are heroes. The two ways being big in the last minute of the game last night for us. So awesome. That's right. Bryce is saying, I tell you what, Jakob is the most underrated big in the game. He's great on the cut and in transition. And my goodness, his passing. I love how Darko uses him. I don't get why he gets so much hate. It's casuals. In some ways, it's people that have never played basketball, honestly, Bryce. If you if you watch basketball or play basketball for a long, long time, you know just how good Jakob Poeltl is. But there's all these young people that never actually played and just watch it, and they think they know what they're talking about. And that's part of the problem. In some ways, basketball is just dunks and threes and scoring. And they just don't get all the meat and potatoes, absolutely important building blocks of having a winning team and what Jakob Poeltl is as far as what that is. So, yeah, I love it too. And I think you're right. In some ways, the rest of the league, people in the league understand it. The referees understand it. The other coaches understand it. But some dumbass Raptors fans just can't understand the value of Jakob Poeltl and why he is so much more important in some ways than a player like Rob Dillingham that they think we should have instead. Yeah, it's ridiculous, honestly. And that's why people that stand for Jakob Poeltl, I have a lot of respect for you. In some ways, I can gauge how much you know about basketball if you give me your opinion on Poeltl. If you tell me that you think Poeltl is a waste and you hate that he's on the Raptors, not about how much you know, is what I say. Yeah. Nako's saying Yak gets because he's a winning big on a rebuilding team. I think in some ways it's insidiously, this is kind of what happens is that other fans like to tear apart teams, and they know that he's a good, crucial building block for the Raptors. And in some ways, all the talk about trading Jakob or doing this or doing that, it comes from other places. It's the same kind of people like us saying, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown should not be on the same team. They're too big for being on the same team. There's all kinds of noise out there that doesn't come from places that care about your team. They want to be destructive. So some people may come in and act like the Raptors fans and talk shit about Jakob, and then dumb Raptors fans pile on and agree with them. It's stuff like that sometimes. Cowboys saying alley-oop Bryce and Chef Darko and Coach Garrett Temple did a great job. Yeah, we'll give Bryce a dunk. Why not? Let's give Bryce a dunk. Get up there and get that, Bryce. 87 for Bryce Lawson on the dunk chart. There you go. 87. I like that. All right, let's see. Bryce is saying, and seeing Battle get early minutes was awesome. If Bruno wasn't so boneheaded, he'd have it for sure, a roster spot. But nah, it has to go to Battle. We can figure the backup big situation down the road. Well, I think that we're forgetting we have Olynyk. That's one of them. And in some ways, Mobo's showing that he's more ready to contribute with size kind of things is absolutely helpful too. It could very well be also that Darko's realizing down the road that by the end of the year, Shamshay may need some room to grow into being on our team. So there's a lot of different factors. And in some ways, Fernando, if you're not going to give a certain level of steadiness and rebounding and defense, well, in some ways, we don't need you. And we can find that maybe possibly from Mobo. Or maybe, Chris Boucher is going to get more minutes. And we got to remember Kelly Olynyk's on this team still, too. So there are bigs on this team. And hopefully we have a whole season of Jakob completely healthy. And that will help a lot with that, too. The only reason why our bigs look so bad was because Jakob and Scotty were out last year. In some ways, we'd have really good bigs last year if those two guys weren't out. And in some ways, playing Kelly Olynyk as our starting center at that point was just not a good look. Not a good look at all. Because he's okay as the backup. And in some ways, Kelly can be 6 fouls off the bench. But if we need him out there to steady things for the whole game, he can't be getting in foul trouble. But if he's off the bench, he can do whatever he wants as a goon and get like foul trouble and do all kinds of goofy stuff like hockey, like he's playing hockey on a basketball court. So we can't forget that Olynyk is in the picture with what we're talking about for our big man. And that's part of the reason why Bruno may not be essential to make this team. Trevor's saying Raptors beat Celtics at their own game. Yeah, in some ways that's totally true. We took it to them. We were aggressive. In some ways, some of the characteristics of why we won last night was we had the Celtics on their heels last night. At no point did they get really comfortable and feeling like, oh, we're doing what we do. No, we had them running around and going crazy all over the place and never actually very comfortable in the whole game. Part of it was transition, pushing the ball up the court. Part of it was excellence in our shooting that was causing this. That's right. Smooth saying, did Bruno do anything good last night? Yeah, he rebounded well. In some ways, he was in there fighting. He did a way better job of trying to hold it down in the middle and getting the rebounds for us. So I would say that, and he did make a few shots here and there. So there was some hustle plays that he did that were pretty good. Yeah, alley oop to Mr. Costco. Who's Mr. Costco? I don't even know who that is. Costco. I don't know who that is. Kareem saying, Smooth, we don't talk about Bruno. If you know, you know. No, Bruno. Are you talking about which one? You talking about San Martino? I don't know, man. Bryce is saying his rebounding was important. Not going to lie, Smooth. Yeah, he did have some crucial, important rebounding at times when Jakob was out. It's weird that they didn't play Shamshay. And Mobo wasn't as effective last night. So in some ways, Fernando was the most important big off the bench. For sure last night. He really was. Let's see. Cowboy saying if Carton got that dunk, yeah, it would have been fire. That would have been so awesome. He wanted it bad, and everybody wanted to see it. Everybody in that arena wanted to see it except for the Celtics. Yeah, we wanted to see it, and the team wanted to too. Carlos here. Good morning, Lex and Freak Nation. Great win last night. Roster battle heating up. That's right. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Thursday Think Tank call-in show, and I'd like to get some different opinions on how you feel about how we should fill the last roster spot for the Raptors season from the 4 candidates that are in the running for it. We'll talk about it more complete tomorrow. We will. Yeah. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Wednesday. The game was intense at some point. Felt like a regular season one. But what a game from Grady and Scotty. Yeah, fantastic game from Scotty. Scotty, in some ways, elevated and graduated to another whole level that we haven't seen before. I'm telling you, I've never seen this Scott until last night. The one that's like so good at threes and dominating through 3-point shooting. It's like Scotty can dominate in all kinds of different ways, but we've never seen him dominate from the 3-point line. 5 of 9 from the 3. That is insane. In some ways, that was awesome and really, really, a really, really good thing. And hopefully he can keep up a very good percentage of 3-point shooting this year, increase it from last year, and show even more improvement from last year. This will unlock so much about him. And maybe, it goes in cycles. He'll be a 3-point, making a lot of threes, and they got to guard him really well. So now he's going to start driving in and making a lot of easier baskets coming in. It may even also open up his post game in certain ways also. So there's a lot of different great things if Scotty's going to be an even better 3-point shooter this year. And last night was the best 3-point shooting game he's ever had in his career, honestly. I can't remember a game where he shot so well from 3. Regular season, postseason, or preseason. Seriously, I don't think I've ever remembered shooting like that, ever, like that well and that confident in that way. Seriously, that's the scary thing for the rest of the league. Is this if this dude's going to be doing that kind of more regularly? Oh, the league's in trouble. The league is in trouble. Seymour saying Grady, man, is on a different level. They can't guard him. He's just so all over the place. He's a blur. He's just like always moving, and he's always thinking, and he's always running, and he's always doing something. And he maybe just by the skin of his teeth, he's like Indiana Jones running away from that boulder and getting underneath that door that's closing, and he still reaches back and get his hat. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that motherfucker's like Indiana Jones running from that boulder, and all the people shooting the blow darts. Yeah, he's that. There's just barely getting by the skin of his teeth. Dun, 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 dun. Give him a whip and a little fedora hat, and he's Indiana Jones. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, that man is just getting through just barely. It's like awesome, just like that part in Indiana Jones. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's like that right now. It's like, wow. It's like he did make that layup. Wow, he just barely made that layup over Boston. Wow, he caught the ball from low, and he brought it up fast enough to lay it up over his head from that really crazy pass Scott just gave him. It's shit like that. It's so cool. So cool. Isaac saying Scotty must have had a baby or something. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Spray paint. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was something like, you know what? I came out in Boston and I didn't do my kid right. I didn't do my kid proud. I can't have my kid watching that from a highlight. No, I better show them something better. I mean, that kid's not watching basketball yet. If it's a newborn, come on. He's like, oh, this is what daddy did after you were born. And yeah, he didn't do so good in Boston, but boy, did he do good in Toronto when they came back. That's right. Kareem saying, sounds like Jacoby is ready to go. Hopefully see him get his feet wet on Friday. Will Lou glossing about how good of a shooter he really is. Jacoby is an X factor. Jacoby is a player that can add a lot to us if he can show up and be absolutely badass. Remember, they speculated for a long time before this draft that he was a top 10 pick in our draft last year. And we got him at 19. That's real value. In some ways, we'll have to see. He's such an interesting kid. He's like an emo kid. And he had that cool sweater on that said Off-White last night. And he's kind of like, he's got his floppy hair. And in some ways, he's got the style of like, some of these mumble rappers or singers, rapper singers. And I get that. In some ways, he's a deep person. I can tell. And in some ways, I want to know more about you, Walter. I want to know more about your player profile and what you do on the court and your player build. I want to see what translates to the NBA from your stuff that you did at Baylor. I want to see exactly how good a defender you can be. I want to see exactly how clutch and how much of a baller and a scorer you can be. In some ways, you are an enigma, and you are somebody we have no idea about yet. In some ways, we should know more about you. We had a couple games in Summer League where you absolutely showed some interesting stuff, intriguing things, but that was months ago, and I've forgotten. And I need you to come back, Walter, and refresh my memory on what exactly made you seem like you might be a top 10 pick. And then you didn't end up being, but now you have a redemption tour on the Raptors to make everybody pay for passing on you in the draft this year. That's right. That's what I want to see. So, yeah, we want to see what's up with Jacoby in the lineup. I can't wait to see him on the lineup either. And are they saying he's going to be available for Friday? That'd be fantastic if Jacoby Walter is all of a sudden activated and he gets to play in one of the preseason games before we start our season. That would be absolutely fantastic. Good morning to Stargate. I see you in the chat, my friend. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah. See, Fiercely saying, I loved it. Defense leads to offense on many occasions. However, multiple turnovers, they need to watch out for that component. That's one thing the Celtics did really well last night that kept them in the game was they didn't have turnovers. They barely turned the ball over. Let's go look at the team stats real quick. That's my great cue by Fiercely Salcera, holding it down in the Ottawa region also. We outshot the Celtics. We got the same amount of shots, but we shot better than them. They shot 41%. We shot 50% exactly, 46 and 92. Now, they got more threes in than us, but they didn't shoot better from three. We took 43 threes last night, and that's fantastic. And making 15 of them, 35% from three, that's okay. They had 18 threes. So in some ways, it's like, how did we do this? How do we beat them? Well, we had to get more shots. We made 8 more shots overall than them. And that's the 1 point difference because at the free throw line, they got double the points on the free throw line than us. So how the hell we do this? Scott Foster put in the Celtics on the line 28 times, only 13 times for the Raptors. So that is a discrepancy. That's doubled up free throws, and we still beat them by 1. That's why I'm telling y'all. In some ways, we beat the refs also last night because they were putting the Celtics on the line left and right. So, yeah, thank God we barely beat them. And I don't even totally understand it from this stat line. We really beat them in the points in the paint and the 3-point and just shooting better than them. That's what won it. Now, we did out-rebound them like crazy, too. We plus 21 on rebounds, 57 rebounds to 36 for them, including 12 offensive rebounds for us. That was a huge, huge, big deal right there. Big deal right there. Assist, fantastic. 34 assists for the Raptors. That's the assist total I'd like to see. I don't like to see no teens in the assists, maybe early 20s in the assists. No, we need to have 25 plus assists. And 34 is very, very good. And it's a benchmark and watermark that shows that we were connected. And we're doing a fantastic job on that. 10 steals for them, 6 for us, 5 blocks for them, 0 for us, 21 turnovers. And that's what Fiercey's talking about. 21 turnovers, and they had 7 turnovers. In fact, at halftime, they only had 1 turnover. They had 1 turnover, and we had like 19 turnovers. And that's crazy. That's the only way they were staying in this game. We were shooting really, really well, beating them and shooting and just scoring like crazy, scoring. But then they were staying in it because they were getting bailed out with fouls. And then also they weren't committing any turnovers. That was a big part of it. Our fast break was nice. 23 fast break points, 56 points in the paint. And that's a big time part of it also. We had the biggest lead that the Raptors had in this game was 24. And it ended up being just a 1-point victory. That's crazy. We had that 24-point lead in the first quarter and we squandered it. In some ways that pissed me off. It was like, man, we kept this lead and then the Celtics ate it up in the second quarter. And was like, man, we had such a good cushion, and it's gone, all for naught. But, hey, the Raptors didn't hold their heads. They kept going. They swung with the punches with the Celtics, and they ended up getting that 1-point win at the end. Really, really good. Let's go, Cowboy. That's right, Eye Candy. Fiercely said DeRozan reuniting with LaVine would equal to what they accomplished in Chicago. Nothing. So not sure if LaVine heading to Sacramento is a good thing. I can't see it happening myself. It doesn't make any sense. Zach LaVine's in a weird no man's land. The Celtics, the Chicago doesn't really want them. And in some ways, he's not really sought after by anybody else in the league. It's really weird where the place that Zach LaVine is at in his career right now. It's very, very weird. Very, very weird. Fiercely saying, freaking Celtics hitting so many threes. This needs to stop. In some ways, we did better at threes than they did. We were more efficient. We may have made less than them, but it didn't matter in the end. We ended up beating them in the end. And that's all that matters. Kareem saying, I was furious that we gave up 24-point lead in less than 12 minutes. Had me furious. I'm glad Raptors took the blow on the chin and steadied the ship. Shows character, shows resilience, and builds character. One of the things I want to say about this is, once again, a lot of kudos to Darko and Darko's system and the way he coaches. In some ways, he did this all last year in the tumultuous year of change, the wedgie year between Siakam and Anunoby and Van Vliet and all those guys leaving, and then us changing to the barbecue. In some ways, that was such a tumultuous year, but Darko was extremely successful at keeping vibes strong, team together, and on point, and never giving up. There were a lot of games in the last year where we would get our ass beat, but none of our guys would take time off and stop or quit or just roll over and die. And in some ways, this is one of the great things about our new coach, Coach Rajakovic, is that he has a system. He has a way of getting our guys motivated no matter what, and they're playing hard no matter what. And the system of Darko won this game last night in some ways. The system of the passing and sharing the ball, the system of certain ways of locking them up on defense, and it was very effective. This is the Celtics. They're the champions, and they have a champion system. And Darko's system beat their system last night. So in some ways, we got to give a lot of credit to our coach for keeping his team on point to weather the storm against the best team in the league in a very close contest. And it wasn't just with the first team. It was with the second team also that came out with guys like DJ Carton leading the way with great leadership and steadying the ship. But don't get it twisted. This starts with Coach Rajakovic and the way he sets them up and prepares them and the system he built for them to play within. And that's a fantastic thing. That is a fantastic thing so much. Take the blows. Keep going, Kareem, because the Celtics ain't going to stop coming at you until the buzzer ends at the very end. And boy, did we roll with them and hold them off. In some ways, that is a huge accomplishment. No lie, a huge accomplishment. Cowboys saying alley-oop humperdinker. I don't know who the humperdunker is, by the way. I still don't know who that is. You have inside jokes that I don't know, Cowboy. I don't know. Costco and humperdunker. I don't know who these people are. I don't know. Let's see. Chris saying alley-oop to Neon Moon. I know that one. That is Cowboy. Fiercely saying sending Grady to the G League last year was a catalyst. What a shift in his game. So proud of him. In some ways, I was wondering whether Grady needs to go to G League this year, but he doesn't. No. Grady, it would do a disservice to him to send him to G League this year. And there's no reason to send him down there in any kind of way. In some ways, if his development hadn't gone so well in the last year, he probably would be going to G League again this season. But he doesn't need to go down there. In fact, it'll hurt him more than it'll help him at this point, because it's more likely that people down there, not saying our crew, as far as our young rookies, will be selfish to him, but the ones that were there last year were, and they kind of froze him out, and he didn't look good from stats. Well, in some ways, Grady, you're not doing G League this year. I'm going to tell you that right now. You are not this year. But going down there and having that happen last year, well, it was a part of your journey and part of your rookie year story that was such a tale of two halves of the story. And the first half of the year was really disappointing. The second half of the year was absolutely amazing and full of growth. So, yeah, it was a catalyst. You're right, Fiercely. I agree with that. Cowboys got the team on blast. I love to see it. Carlos saying, I want this Scotty for all 82 games. Then he's going to be all NBA. Yeah. Scotty, you can play like this consistently. You're all NBA guy. In fact, all right, let's go do this because this is up on ESPN right now. Let's do this real quick. They've got the 50 through 10 of the ESPN top 100 players in the NBA for the season. LaMelo Ball is at 50, which is ridiculous. Honestly, he's not a top 50 player in this league. Aaron Gordon's 49, another ridiculous choice. Julius Randle, 48. Evan Mobley, 47. Porzingis, 46. DeRozan, number 45. Last year, DeMar DeRozan was ranked 39th in the league, and they got him at 45 this year in his first year with the Kings. At least he's in the top 50 is what I'll say. Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder is above DeMar DeRozan. That's ridiculous. This rank is so stupid, honestly, and everybody has a problem with it. Nobody's happy with it. Everybody thinks there's all kinds of people on Twitter just destroying the ESPN top 100. And rightfully so. because it is so stupid. A lot of it is so stupid. Now, some people are getting mad because RJ Barrett's ranked higher than Alperen Sengun. That is one of the dumbest things. Why are you showing that on other places? Y'all are going to find out about RJ this year. Everybody who doesn't think RJ should be above Alperen Sengun. What the fuck is that? DeJounte Murray at 43. That's ridiculous. That guy should not be so high. That guy's a joke. Siakam down from 25 to 42 this year. What is this? They have Halliburton higher than Siakam. That's wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, Siakam's the best player on the Indiana Pacers. And putting Halliburton above Siakam is absolutely, I'm saying that's ridiculous. Seriously. And Siakam listen, last year I get it. He was 25 and he was on the Raptors at this point. And in some ways, he's 25. He's the 25th best player in the league. He's no way that Siakam falls to 42. What the fuck did he do from last year to this year to fall that many spots from 25 to 42? Man, whoever makes these rankings is ridiculous. And, putting James Harden right in front of Pascal Siakam just shows how stupid you are. James Harden, the 41st best player. Oh, my gosh. They got Brandon Ingram at 40. Derek White, who we saw last night, who wasn't even ranked in the top 100, is the 39th best player in the NBA, according to ESPN. Ridiculous. Y'all are just kissing the Celtics' ass when you do that. Mikal Bridges, 38. Trae Young, 37. Drew Holiday, 36. Once again, another Celtic really high up on the list. Now, Scotty Barnes at 35. He was ranked 63 last year, so they're putting Scotty at 35 this year, right ahead of Drew Holiday and right behind Rudy Gobert. It says here about Scott, in his third season, Barnes went from an intriguing young player to a deserving all-star, averaging career highs in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks per game. The only other player to average at least 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block per game last season was Giannis Antetokounmpo. Toronto has bet on Barnes being the face of its next contending team, giving him a max contract extension in July, and the franchise moved on from veterans OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam in back-to-back moves before last season's trade deadline, bringing back Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and several draft picks to pair with Barnes over the next few years. Now Toronto will be hoping Barnes can make another leap into all NBA territory. That's Tim Bontemps that wrote that. Yeah, that's fair. All of that's very fair. But Scotty being at 35, and you're going to see who's ahead of him is going to piss you off. Rudy Gobert is ahead of him. Lauri Markkanen. Chet Holmgren at number 32. That's ridiculous. Jamal Murray at 31, and he was 17 last year. Now they got him back at 31. That's kind of a diss. Cat, 30. Domantas Sabonis is better than Scotty. You're ridiculous. You're crazy. Jimmy Butler at 28. Zion Williamson at 27. I don't know what they think Zion's going to do this year. De'Aaron Fox at 26. Kyrie Irving, 25. Paulo Banchero, 24. So you got Scotty at 35, and you go put that fuck down in Orlando at number 24. Who's the all-star between the two of them? NBA Inside, NBA ESPN writers. Seriously, you going to put Paulo ahead of Scotty in the top 100 on ESPN? No. You got him ahead of Evan Mobley. You got him ahead of Franz Wagner. You got him ahead of Kate Cunningham. But you don't got him ahead of a fucking Paulo Banchero? This was ridiculous. Seriously, ridiculous. Damian Lillard, 23. Kawhi Leonard, 22. Paul George, 21. Ridiculous. Ja Morant at 20. Tyrese Maxey, 19. Bam Adebayo, 18. Donovan Mitchell, 17. Halliburton, 16. Devin Booker, 15. Jaylen Brown, 14. Anthony Davis, 13. Jalen Brunson, 12. Victor Wembanyama, number 11. And they haven't released the top 10 yet. Yeah, we can kind of figure out who's left. It's like LeBron, Jason Tatum, Luka, Giannis, Joel Embiid, this kind of shit coming up. Yeah, but yeah, they got Scotty number 35 out of the top 100 for ESPN this year. Yeah, ridiculous. Bryce is saying Scotty was scoring at all 3 levels, Lex. Let's not forget his mid-range game. Bro's midi pull-up is cash money. I love that shot. Yeah, I'm not going to forget it. In some ways, he wasn't going 3 levels. He wasn't right next to the basket too much. There's a little bit of post. He had like 1 post move, but for most part, it was all 3s mostly, and then some middies, and then like maybe 1 or 2 by the basket kind of plays. There was that reverse dunk he had that was kind of not clean. That may have been his closest shot to the rim when he kind of caught it on the sideline and came across, and he reversed it and put it in. He made it. He converted it. That's what matters. So, yeah. Bryce, you're right. He did have 3 levels of scoring yesterday. And the midi is really nice. I like that he goes and finds that space and he pulls up, and it's nice. It's real nice. Scotty's a great shooter, and he, in some ways, his range is all the way out to 3 points now at this point. He's good from shooting anywhere in there. Anywhere in there. That's right. Kareem saying Lex said Grady Dick and Spunk in the same sentence. What a wordsmith. I mean, listen, come on. The more and more Grady gets more and more known, well, the more and more this dick jokes are a danger to the NBA and Raptors world and stuff like that. Obviously, I just named Jamison Battle Ready Dick. So come on, man. Ready Dick, Red Van Vliet, Malachi. Well, Ready Dick is going to be Jamison Battle. That's my new nickname for him, Ready Dick. And that doesn't sound right either. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. Carlos saying, hell yeah, Bryce, that 2 dribble pull up was so sweet. I know Scotty measures his shot with the dribble and gets the rhythm from the dribble. And it's like, do, whoo. And then it's in. And he has a nice action off of his offhand to get the right spin rotation. And it's really, really good. Really, really, really good. All right, it jumped ahead. Let me make sure I don't miss any of these comments. I'm really excited about the game last night, and I want everybody to get their stuff in here. For sure. All right, hang on. Where did I lose the chat? Holy crap. I'm that far back. Wow. Okay, Basketball Rewind's here today. Oh, all right. Good to see Basketball Rewind in here. And we got a Boston fan in here, it looks like. So we'll have to see what they're saying. Hang on. Wow, I didn't realize I was so far down. Okay, here we go. This is where I'm at. Let's see. Kaz is here. Good morning, Kaz. Trucker Kaz is on the road. 10-4, good buddy. Stargate saying, I keep saying in today's NBA landscape, a team does not have to lose to rebuild. We have to start to understand that this is not the 80s and 90s. That way of doing things doesn't apply anymore. Boom goes a dynamite. I'm going to give a dunk to Stargate because I completely agree with him. Tanking culture is dead. Adam Silver wants to outlaw it. And teams that are going to try and do tanking to get players like Victor Wembanyama 3, you got that James Edwards, Buddha. 53 for you, Stargate. Yeah, good point. And I agree with you. David's here. Give this man a dunk. Finally. Thank you, Stargate. There you go. Yeah, I just did, David. It says David is here. It's 9:43. We'll do the classic card of the day since our trivia commissioner is here to adjudicate what we do for the points. Okay, here we go. This is an interesting one. I've been just grabbing the first one I get. The time is 9:43 on the chat, so I will come back afterwards to that spot. All right, here we go. Y'all, first person to name this player, trivia score, the classic card of the day. If you can tell me who this player is, don't half-ass me. Don't write half their name. Somebody will seagull it from you. So you know the rules. We always want the full name. And if you can write the full name in, you will get the points. This is not a classic card. This is a current card. This is somebody who is actually in the league right now. So yeah, if anybody can get this classic card of the day, let's see. Jalen Brunson's wrong. Dennis Smith Jr. is wrong also. Yeah, it's a Dallas player, obviously. But it's don't Google Dallas number 10, by the way. Don't do that. Just try and get it off the top of your head. Yeah, in some ways, this guy has a 3-name name. How about that? That's a good clue for you guys. This guy has a 3-name name. So there's actually 3 names. You can't third hass me. You got to make sure you get all 3 of the names. That may be the best clue I can give you guys on this one. You guys know this current player. Tim Hardaway Jr. is not right, Isaac. That is not Tim Hardaway Jr. Look at his face. You can kind of tell who this guy is. In some ways, this may be a player that I don't think he's on Dallas any longer right now. So we'll have to see who actually it is. There we go. Andrew's got it. That's right. It's Dorian Finney-Smith. Andrew gets the classic card of the day. David, are you still here to adjudicate? Yeah, you're good with the two. You missed an N, but you got it mostly right. So we're going to give it to Andrew. David, do you want to do the points or should I? It was blurry. Yeah, it was very blurry. It's very blurry for sure. Is David still here? I'm going to see if David's here. We'll see if he's on there. I don't know. I want to give him 150 for that one. If you are here, David, or you're not here, let me just write it in just in case. Yeah, I think David was here for a sec, but then he stepped away. All right, it's Andrew, and we'll give him 150 for that. All right. Thank you for playing the classic card of the day, everybody. And good job, Andrew. Raptor Freak Rookie of the Year, Andrew. Get in points on that one. 150 points for you, sir. All right, let's see. Carlos saying, see how Davion, Oshai, and Grady growing under Darko. Protect Coach Darko at all costs. I'm with you on this. Listen, seriously, this guy's not going to get any credit or respect from anybody for a while until really big results come. But then the ones that know, and the Raptor Freaks know. And we're watching this. And the way that he's keeping this ship sailing through tumultuous waters in his first year and so far this year has been fantastic. Injuries, trades, different stuff, whatever. Darko is keeping our guys on the same path, and they're staying together, and they're staying good vibes. And anything's possible when the team has good vibes and they're playing together and communicating. And Darko sets this table up for that to feast that way. And I really do appreciate him a lot. Yeah, in some ways, it's like going to be interesting to see what Davion Mitchell does this year, because in some ways he's getting his career reclaimed from years in the Kings and getting buried on the bench. So now he has a real chance to be a rotational player for the Raptors, and things that Mitchell could do this year could be very interesting, considering the Sacramento Kings didn't really give him the chance. So, yeah, we'll have to see. G saying, outside of Scotty and Grady's obvious stellar performances, they play so much better when Yak is on the floor. He is so vital for their success. Yeah, in some ways, people need to understand that Jakob is a space maker. And in some ways, he's doing a lot of subtle things with setting screens. And also the passing ability of Jakob is a danger to the other team. In fact, I'll bet Coach Mazzulla had to think about, Jakob Poeltl and his vision and how he can dump off and passes and do different things like that. It's something people have to worry about. That's right. Savor the happy moments, man. That's right, Smooth. That's right. In some ways, the wins may not come very easily this year. And when we do get them, we're really going to celebrate them in a reaction in the next day. That's right. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Please know that your thoughts can deceive you. Your heart gets colored on by the colors of your thoughts. This is why we want to stay positive. This is why perception is reality. In some ways, you could have a shitty life if you want to believe everything's shitty out there. But if you can look at the best things in life, like this morning I woke up, it was raining a little bit. The leaves on the trees are changing color. And then all of a sudden I look out the window and there's a rainbow in the middle of the sky because of the water vapor in the air. It's so beautiful with the colors in the sky and the colors on the trees. It's like, wow, I just want to practice gratitude in this moment for the beauty of nature and the natural world. And boom, all of a sudden I'm happier. Look outside and see rain clouds and just think of depressing things and stuff like that. That's what you get. So understand you have to train your mind to be happier through your perception, and your reality will become happier also. Thank you, Randolph, for your great words of wisdom. And let's go see what Leo's saying. This is from yesterday. I'm on a day behind with Leo's life tips just to make sure we have one, because he's coming in late sometimes. 8 important things to remember. Number 1, dreams can come true. Number 2, how to say what you mean. Number 3, expect the best. Number 4, don't sweat the small stuff. Number 5, everything changes. Number 6, persistence pays. And number 7, happiness is a decision. And number 8, you are good enough. Man, it's like a 8-for-1 deal on the life tips from Leo from yesterday. He's not giving you just one life tip. He gave you 8. And some of them echo what we've been hearing from Trevor and Randolph already today. Blessings to the Routens family, the Phillips family, and Trevor J's family, also all the Raptor Freak families on the words of wisdom. I love you guys, the 3 wise men, Randolph, Trevor, and the kid from Kiel, Leo. That's right. That's right. I love that steal by Jonathan. That steal by Jonathan was fantastic. It was a very, Jason was a little bit careless with his dribble, and Jonathan Mobo showed a real reaction speed with his hand to just kind of pry it out of there. In some ways, it looked like it could have been a foul, but it wasn't really. It was like Tatum was doing some sort of weird, jukey kind of dribble, and Mobo didn't fall for it. He just kind of stuck his hand there and pawed it out. And, yeah, that's fantastic. In some ways, Mobo's going to be an X factor this year. I really do feel like it. If he can help us with rebounding and defensive kind of like energy, that'll be fantastic. That'll be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Randolph saying, Lex, that was an amazing game last night. I agree with you, sir. I agree with you, Mr. Phillips. I really enjoyed watching that game. It was fun. It was a giddy kind of game for us. And I love the tenacity of our bench players to hold off the Celtics late. That was really, really important because they did want to win that game, and they were trying to come get it at the end. Seymour saying Grady got that DeMar mid-range down pat. Man's shot is wet. Yeah, Grady's a bucket. Grady is a bucket. Man, Gary Trent Jr. is a buck now. Well, in some ways, it's all right because Grady's ready to step into that spot and be a more reliable, consistent bucket. It seems like it. I mean, in some ways, because Grady mixes it up so well. And in some ways, Gary had to do stuff off of isolation and one-on-one by himself to find his rhythm. He's not as good at shooting off of passes from other people, but Grady is. Grady's fine either way. He can get the rhythm from his own dribble, or he can catch it in stride from a pass from somebody else and put the shot up in rhythm too. That was always a problem with Gary Trent Jr., that in some ways he couldn't catch and shoot from his teammates. He had to do everything from himself. And that was an issue. And part of the reason why he's not on our team this year. is part of it right there. Yeah, Cowboys saying laughing at Sheriff, and Trevor saying the fast speed by Raptors team had Celtics guessing. Well, in some ways, they're used to certain teams playing them a certain way. We played with no fear, and like I said, we took it to them, and they were on their heels most of the game. And that was something. Like right away, Scotty's like opening up things with a certain statement with the threes, and Grady's seconding him. And I told y'all, it's like the team that comes out and hits first, hits hard, and has this right away from the start can win the game. And in each of our preseason games, this has happened. The first game, RJ and Grady came out and destroyed the Wizards right away, and we won that game. The second game, nobody took over until later in the game, and that was Kispert for the Wizards. And Kyle Kuzma finally woke up in the second half of the second game against Washington, and they won that game. And the first game against Boston, it was Pritchard and Walsh and Peterson that were doing all the damage to us. Well, last night, Scotty and Grady said, we're going to step up, and we're going to be the tag team that outplays Tatum and Brown. And they did. They did. Statistically, they outscored them, and they outplayed them, and they beat the champion Celtics. And that is impressive. That is very, very impressive, man. Very, very impressive. DJ Carton, that's right. Salute the Cowboy, that's right. Seymour saying the Bucks physically beat up Giddey. He better expect more of this treatment going forward due to these sick allegations. Now, those were proven to be false because, first of all, that young woman lied to him. So he didn't know that she was underage. She kind of trapped him. He got entrapped, just so you know, Seymour. So the stuff about Giddey and all that stuff, this isn't Diddy shit. Giddey ain't Diddy. So come on, man. In some ways, let's give the young Australian kid a pass on a very unfortunate, stupid-ass situation where a young woman lied to him, and he had no idea her age. So that's really the truth on that. Now, the Bucks beating up on Josh Giddey on the Bulls, well, welcome to the Eastern Conference, motherfucker. You're not playing in the West anymore, and we play a little bit more physical on this coast. Young Australian guy. That's right. There you go. Fiercey saying to think that Scotty was made fun of 2 years ago because he was struggling with his threes. Look at him now. He's significantly improved last year, and this season will be even more. Yeah, he got better last year, and it looks like he's taking another leap this year. Yeah, all NBA. Let's go, Scott. That's within your reach. And especially if you take a team like the Raptors, who's supposed to be bottom dwellers, and make them a bona fide play-in, if not bottom of the playoffs team, yeah, you'll get noticed for this. You'll get noticed for this, for your broad shoulders carrying the Raptors to a place in the standings they're not supposed to be in. So, yeah, this could happen. This could very much happen, Fiercey. I love it. Boss Take Charge is here. Good to see you, my guy. Let's go Raptors. Good to see you, Boss Take. Checking back in with the Raptors Freak Stream. Y'all know I'm here every day, 9:30 in the morning, talking Raptors daily. And, yeah, tomorrow will be a Thursday Think Tank call-in show where y'all can call me on the phone, and I'll put you on the air, and we can hear your opinion in person over the phone, talking about our roster battle to who's going to make the final roster spot out of the four contenders. We'll have that on our Thursday Think Tank tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Tune in with me, please. Good to see you, Boss Take Charge. Logical Raptors Fanatic is here. Good to see Mike. Project Truth always, Mike. Good to see you. Darko's working his development magic, baby. Yeah, that's right. Pew, pew, pew. Galakazam, Agazoo. Carlos said Darko is showing his stuff again with the bench guys. Yeah, I really like that, with the Nick Nurse years of the Raptors, there were a lot of drop-off from the starters to the bench because Nick highly valued playing the absolute best players in the starting lineup all the time. He'd never divvy them up and kind of have, we could have the third best scorer off the bench. That kind of is a smart way that old teams used to do it in the NBA. Ricky Pierce would come off the bench for the Bucks. He was their leading scorer, and he wasn't even starting because they knew you need to have something on the bench that can carry the scoring when the starters are out. Well, in some ways, it's refreshing to have a bench that comes in that doesn't shit the whole bed and makes the team lose or get in a deficit all of a sudden like we've had in the past couple of years. It seems like this bench may be more capable to carry the baton while the starters are out in a very good way that is absolutely going to help the team. And I love that. I love that so much, man. Boss is saying we stopped them before, but we need center shooting threes. Yeah, I don't know if we need a center shooting threes. I mean, that's not totally necessary in some ways, but we'll see. I'm not totally sure what you're trying to say here. Now, if you're saying it's because Jakob doesn't shoot threes, well, there's still a place in the league for guys that don't shoot threes at the center. Seriously, I think there's still a place for that. I think everybody's saying everybody has to shoot threes in this league. They got a little ahead of themselves. It's kind of like how a couple years ago everybody said the center is dead in this league and we don't need centers anymore. Well, Jokic and Embiid are MVPs. And in some ways, the center is still absolutely essential in the game of basketball because the center can still dominate. And when you don't have anybody to stop them in the low post, you're fucked. So in some ways, the center is still an important position. And Jakob Poeltl, being a great defensive center, is absolutely essential to the Raptors' success, is what I'm saying right now. Fiercely saying Grady has more dimensions than Trent Jr. and finds all sorts of ways to score aside from threes. That is the difference. Yes. It's like in some ways, Gary could have done some cuts to the basket and little layups like that, but his elevation was wrong last year with his plantar fasciitis. In some ways, it's like, look, Gary is a good scorer and he's a great player, but Grady's different. Grady is different. And in some ways, he finds his rhythm in really interesting ways. A lot of it's from his step, and then lay it in. Step, lay it in. Or step, or pass from Oshai, boom, shoot the three, boom, it's in. The rhythm, it's how you find your rhythm. And Gary Trent Jr. is all about finding his rhythm from a between the legs dribble or some sort of skip dribble that he does, and then he elevates and shoots. That's how he gets so dead-eye. But Grady's able to find his shooting rhythm off of different things, whether it be just a really quick shot and release. That's one thing I would say about Grady is that his shot release got faster from last year. They worked on this summer, that he took a little longer to set his shot up and get it off. He's quicker release now this year. And that's been a big, big change and part of why he's doing so well right now. I think that's part of it. Bryce is saying, yeah, and his energy and hustle play also sets him apart. He's simply a better basketball player than Gary right now. Well, yeah, and the defensive side stuff too. In some ways, he's rebounding. He's more of a rebounding threat than Gary was too. So there's different elements that are better with the upgrade of Grady in there. I'm no dissing to Gary Trent Jr. We love Gary, and I wish him well on Milwaukee. But in some ways, us letting him walk this summer was smart. It was very, very smart. Tatum's hooping. This is a Boston fan, obviously, coming in to say hi to us after the game last night. Let's see what they're saying. Great game by you guys. Nothing but love for Toronto. Hopefully our teams can meet in the playoffs. Respect the Celtics nation coming in and saying hi. You guys have had a great preseason. Good job handling the Nuggets in Abu Dhabi in both games. And man, y'all's second unit looked fantastic on Sunday, kicking our first unit's ass. And in some ways, if you watch my show on Monday, I read our team the riot act, especially Scotty Barnes, because I was like, look, man, you can't be coming out there and letting Pate Pritchard be the best player on the court when you are an all-star, my guy. And they didn't play any of their starters. They didn't play their top 7 rotation. And that was embarrassing. But respect and very classy of Celtics fan to come in here and say good game. And good game back at you. You guys have a good chance to defend your title this year. It'll be very interesting to see your journey this year. Of course, it's tougher when you are the marked team in the league that everybody's gunning for. In some ways, I'll say this, Celtics fan. In some ways, we may have just won our championship for the year last night. Because we know this is going to be a long season in Raptorland. And we appreciate the sentiment that you're saying that you hope that you guys get to see us in the playoffs. Of course, our series, the only series that our two franchises have ever had in the playoffs, was an epic one, a classic, one of the greatest playoff series in recent years, that series in the bubble with the Celtics and the Raptors. Very memorable. And even though we lost that series, that was a lot of fun playing you guys in the bubble with OG Anunoby's shot and Kyle Lowry's pass and just what happened there. So kudos and respect, man. This is a great Celtics fan. I hope you'll come back and check with us again down the road, my guy. Respect. Kareem saying it's going to be interesting to see how these shots will be allocated when RJ and quickly get back on the court. Dick took 21 shots yesterday and was 57%. Dick should enter the 3-point contest. Yeah, I think he should. I thought in some ways, well, he wasn't ready last year. He's a no-name rookie. But yes, definitely Grady Dick should have the 3-point shooting contest in his future. It just seems like it's absolutely a match made in heaven. So I agree with this. It will be interesting to see who gets the bulk of the shots attempts when we get our guys fully back. In some ways, I'm going to say RJ is probably going to get the most shots out of everybody all together, even Scott. I don't know what Quickly's going to do. It could be different on different nights. It could very well be a different night. Like if we have a certain matchup and something's going really well, we continue to go the well with Scotty on a mismatch where he's bullying somebody down low, or maybe Grady's just free flowing and he's in the zone like he was last night. It could be very different, but I would say those 4 guys are the top candidates to get the most shots on any given night. I think RJ will get the most nights with the most shots, but it could very well be on one night it's Emmanuel Quickly taking most of the shots. It could very well be Scotty is not facilitating and he is calling his own number more often too. So we'll see. But right now it's shown that it's Grady getting the most field goal attempts on the Raptors in preseason right now. That's right. Yeah. G saying respectful comment to Tatum's hooping. Yeah, respect. Seriously. We've dealt with all kinds of different fans from different fan nations, Sixers Nation, Knicks Nations here quite often. And Celtics Nation doesn't come see us very often. We did have a Celtic fan that was coming to see us for a while, about a year or so ago. But yeah, respect to the Celtics and the games that we played recently. Honestly, I've been very negative about y'all's coach in the past years. In fact, I said he's a fraud and the way he lost in the playoffs the year before last year. But he really, in some ways, I can't talk shit about Coach Joe at this point. He's proven that he's a great coach and he's a champion coach now. And in some ways, the Celtics got all this pressure off them now. The Tatum and Brown and the allegations that they'll never win. Well, they have. And kudos to them. Now, this doesn't mean I want them to repeat and get another championship this year. But yeah, I have to give respect where respect is due. And last year's season for the Celtics was a dream season, and they've got 18 titles now. And I would have wanted a better opponent for them in the finals, to be honest. And I'll bet you even the Celtics fan that's here today would probably say, yeah, it would have been more fun to play somebody other than the Mavericks. Because I felt like the Mavericks were a mismatch, and y'all were going to crush them no matter what. So, yeah, very, very respectful comment and respect to Tatum's hooping. Seriously. Bryce is saying, see you on the Eastern Conference Finals. There you go. There you go, Bryce. I like that attitude. I like that attitude, Bryce Lawson. I'm going to give you a dunk, my guy. Bryce, you're awesome. All right, 90 dunks for our guy in Kentucky, our American stateside in our league. That's right. That's right. Shaq Lindsay's here. Good to see Shaq Lindsay saying that's what I want to see from Dick to solidify the starting position. Yeah. Yeah, Grady can be consistent. In some ways, look, Grady can be a little bit like Oshai and do the good things on the hustle and the defensive side. If his shot's not going down, he can still be a very reliable, good player to be on the court because he's a target. He's a decoy. Even if his shot's not falling down, he's going to make hustle plays and he may rebound some. And that's another difference between starting him over Gary Trent Jr. is that Gary, if he's not making his shot, he's not giving you shit on the court. And if Grady's going to have a night where he's not exactly got his shot going down, there's other places he can contribute. And the other thing that's great about Grady is if his shot isn't going down on the outside, because there's been many games where Grady doesn't even make a three, but he still fills it up and gets points. And that's from mid-range. That's from driving on cuts and getting lay-ins. So Grady is an all-around scorer, which is fantastic, man. It's fantastic. Tatum's saying, Bryce Lawson, that would be a great series. Boston against us will be most likely we play you guys in the first round because we'll be in the play-in. Y'all be the top seed or something. And we get in and we play you guys in the first round as the 2nd and 7 or the 8 and the 1. And yeah, you guys would have fun playing us in the first round, although we could be dangerous. That's the thing. We could be very dangerous to face in the first round. That's the thing. Maybe you don't want to see us because who knows? We could be very dangerous. And you might want an easier Eastern Conference opponent in the first round. But that's where I would say if this is going to happen, it probably would happen in the first round because we're in the play-in and you guys are a top seed. Yeah, alley-oop to Tatum's hooping. All right, we'll do that. Normally, we don't. This is a other fan coming in. You know what? You can get on our dunk list, and that does say a lot right there. Tatum's hooping. Let's see. Yeah. Man, I love it. I love the camaraderie between NBA fan bases. So we're gonna give you a 3-pointer. Tatum's hooping. You got a 3. You just nailed one there. Alley-oop from Cowboy. Let's see. Basketball Rewind is here. Kenyon, how are you doing, my guy? Our grad med student is in the house. Basketball Rewind is a channel that covers basketball. Y'all can go give them a subscription and a follow if you feel like it. Do that. Yeah, Grady is doing something that is very subtle, but is a major improvement game to game. Game 1 through 2, he was indecisive. The last 2 games, he was way more decisive coming off the screens and DOHs. Yeah, I could see this too, Kenyon. Seriously, like in some ways, he was kind of a deer in headlights in the second game against Washington for sure. That was a game he could have done way more to help us. And in the third game against the Celtics, that game wasn't totally clean either. But this one, he looked way better. And I first and the fourth game. The first game, him and RJ were a great 1-2 punch in our game in Montreal. That was a great 1-2 punch. But I think you're right. In some ways, when he feels confident and he feels directed and he's not kind of wishy-washy about, well, am I second guessing I should do this? No, just go. That is something that has been different. And you're exactly right, Basketball Rewind. Exactly right. Kareem saying, Tatum's hooping. Good luck on your season. We are pretty cordial in here, but on game day, we will crucify you. But welcome. Nice to a new name. Nice to see a new name. Yeah, I mean, we're Raptors fans and we love our team and we are very diehard. And in some ways, I respect the Celtics culture of excellence and such a long, long history, the whole entire NBA history. And in some ways, we want to build our own culture and history up here in different ways. With Vince Carter going in the Hall of Fame recently, us Jersey retiring him, people like DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry will get these accolades down the road. We may only have one championship, but in some ways, the Raptors aspire to someday we'll never be on the level of the Celtics, obviously. To get 18 championships is going to take a long time. But, we can aspire and want to be more like having a respectable culture around our team, just like the Celtics have. And in some ways, that's part of why I have this channel here, is because we're trying to build that within our fan nation. Because I see a lot of toxic stuff in Toronto Raptors fan nation, and it's just unnecessary. So we want to have real positive fans, even if we're in a rebuild or a losing season. We still want to have people carrying the flag for the Raptors in the right way and not just dumping on them and being disrespectful to them, even in our own city. Because Toronto sports fan can be very fickle. And if the Jays or the Leafs or the Raptors are not doing well, they don't show up to games, and maybe they kind of piss all over them too. But we're standing with our team, ups or downs. We ride or die with them. And that's what we do on this Raptor Freak channel. That's right. That's right. G saying Oshai is going to be going the OG route. Defense while developing offense. Exactly. I've said Oshai Abaji in some ways is a hybrid of OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet. He's not as big as OG, but he's strong like Fred. And some of those like prying, kind of grabbing steals that Fred would get, Oshai's got. And in some ways, Oshai's going to get the tough defensive assignments like Jalen and Jason. And in some ways, he's ready for the challenge. In fact, that was something he said in his post-game interview, that he really enjoys getting a really, really tough assignment like Tatum and Brown, that it's a really good workout. And it's fun for the team to play a team like the champions. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The Celtics got a bullseye on them from everybody around the league when they go into arenas this year, because everybody's going to want to take down the champs. And that's something you can get up for. Seriously. That's why it's so hard to repeat. So hard. Tatum hooping saying at Kareem, appreciate you, bro. It's all love. Man, this is like the greatest Celtic fan ever. Dude, you're awesome, man. Tatum's hooping. You're awesome, man. Isaac saying, like and subscribe, folks. Be well. Back at you, Isaac. Like and subscribe, Isaac Campbell. Why not? I don't even know where you do that, but just do it. All right, Basketball Rewind's also saying Barnes was better energy-wise last game, but needs to not have his emotions caught up on how his three-point shooting is going. Imprint on the game, not have the game imprint on you. This is something we've seen in the last two games with Scott, where he's yelling at the refs, and we heard him cussing very, very loud in the game. Like, what the fuck is that, Scott Foster? Yeah, because, you were getting hammered. But listen, it happens both ways. Scott Foster calls a touch foul on Jason Tatum. He doesn't call everything for them on that side. And they're doing the same thing to you. In some ways, Scott, there was a play where this is what you wanted. You wanted a review. I saw this play. And you thought that it wasn't out on us. And they called it out on us. And you wanted a review. You did this, but they hurried up inbounding the ball and coming back at us. And you yelled at our bench for not backing you up to call for a challenge. And in some ways, what happened was you got out of the play, and all of a sudden, Derek White's hitting a three, Scott. No, man, don't do that, bro. Seriously, you got to stay locked in and just you got to be a robot. You got to be Kawhi Leonard and just have no emotions about this shit. Because in 2 games now, your emotions have gotten you out of the defensive play and allowed an easy basket. And that moment was like that. In some ways, I was like, yeah, in some ways, Scott's right. They probably should have called a challenge on that. Back up your franchise player and call the challenge on the out of bounds. But Scott Foster and the refs and the Celtics inbounded it quickly so that we didn't get a chance to have a stoppage of play to review it. So in some ways, Scott, you got to let it go and go with the flow and get locked back in. Because in some ways, that's an area where we can get in trouble when Scotty gets emotional. And like Alvin Williams said during the broadcast, he said, Scotty, you got to stay locked in. You can't get upset about calls. You got to keep going. And he's exactly right. I mean, if that's one criticism I could give Scott about last night is like, yeah, going over crazy at the refs at certain times. I know you have a history with Scott Foster, Scotty. I know you do. But in some ways, Scott Foster may start respecting you more and more because of that bullshit in Denver a couple years ago. And also because he's seeing what you did last night. Seriously, this is what will get you the call, Scott. When you come out and you shoot 5 for 9 from 3-point range and you absolutely dominate. That is what gets you the superstar calls when you play like a superstar. And you can't, like in the first game against Boston, come out and try and just get easy foul calls when you haven't established you're the superstar yet. And that's what you were doing in the last game. This time you came out, you established your superstar, and you get better calls after that. You got to build your legend. You got to build your reputation around the league. And then they will give you the calls that they give to people like Jalen and Jason. That's what I'm saying right there. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying the combination of Scotty and Dick looks nice. I was a little skeptical of Davion Mitchell's game, but he also solidified his position as a backup point guard. Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. In fact, I really like him in transition. He's not a good half-court point guard, but if we're moving and we're coming up the court, that guy finds people, and he's really, really good on the fast break. So I like that. I like that about him. In some ways, because he's a defensive guard who likes to get steals, and he's very dog. He's going to garner a lot of fast break transition opportunities, and hopefully he just runs with it, and boom, he's finding people like Scotty, Grady, Jonathan Mobo, Chris Boucher in transition, and they're getting dunks and layups in stride. And that's awesome. That pass between Tatum and Brown was high level. That thread the needle pass that he threw to Grady Dick, that was really high level. G saying, I love transition passes. Yeah, it was really cool, wasn't it, man? It was really, really cool, man. Let's see. Where was I? Let's see. Davion will have some highlight reels with some crazy passing at some point. Yeah, he's cool, and he's really enjoying being on the Raptors. Let's not get it twisted. Davion Mitchell is very happy to be in Toronto, and I think he's going to flourish here. I really do. Basketball Rewind saying, Jacoby is very important to this year, so I'm looking forward to seeing his development. Yeah, in some ways, we're not even getting him involved yet. These some very promising rookies on our team already. They're in different levels of where they're at. Shed in some ways is ready except for shooting. Mobo seems like he's the most ready out of all of them to get a regular rotation spot just because he's such a glue all-around player that he can be utilized in a couple different ways that are helpful at different times. So it does really seem like Jonathan Mobo is going to be in the rotation this year out of all the rookies for sure. But there's no guarantees for any of the rest of them is what I would say. I would say that Jacoby Walter getting a late start on training camp is hurting him right now because in some ways the stuff that's happening right now, he could be battling Ochai Agbaji to be the backup small forward shooting guard, but he's not there to do it. So in some ways this is bad. And Jacoby, you need to get back out there. If the rumors are true that your shoulder's better and you can play against the Nets on Friday, get out there. Seriously, don't mess around. Don't mess around. Kareem saying at Tatum's hooping, by the way, I hate Pritchard. I keep saying Pritchard. I know it's Peyton Pritchard because they kept saying it last night. But for some reason, I've known people named Pritchard, so I always say Pritchard. That's no disrespect. It's just, I guess, an alternate pronunciation. But only because he's good and he has a punchable face. Dude can ball still. Dude, that guy is a menace, man. That dude is a badass. In some ways, pound for pound, Peyton Pritchard is absolutely a badass. He's a guy anybody would want on their team. And once again, the Celtics are lucky that he didn't leave. He was wanting to leave. He was unhappy with them, and he was all ready to leave. And boy, they've been very lucky to keep him. This is a similar thing that happened with us with Lowry. Lowry was about to get traded to the Knicks, and that trade fell through. And thank God, because that was before our championship. So in some ways, Peyton still being on the Celtics has been a really good thing for Boston. Really, really good thing. And yeah, his face is a little punchable, but that's coming from a Raptors fan that competes. Nago saying Davion's fit and Darko's system is going to do wonders. Yeah, I like it so far. The defensive intensity of the Raptors is different this year. We're used to long arm monsters and like people like OG and Precious and people running at people like being like this. More now, it's like get on the ball handlers coming across the court and just hound the hell out of them and cause chaos. And then all of a sudden you got guys like Scotty and Grady looking for passing lanes to jump into. When Davion Mitchell's up on a guy like Peyton Pritchard and he's like really confusing him, kind of crowding him, he tries to throw a ball over to somebody else and Grady's jumping in the passing lane, grabbing it and they're running down the other end of the court. That's a very different kind of defense than the one we played last year. Very, very different. Yeah, very, very different. Basketball Rewind saying can't stick around, but yeah, I hope people are well. Deuces. There you go. Back at you, Kenyon. And I hope your studies are always going good and things are good for you out on the West Coast, my guy. Seriously. Good stuff. Basketball Rewind popping in today to say hi. Andrew saying nobody ever mentions Grady when talking about good young players on the league. I hope he gets his recognition this season. This could very well happen. In some ways, yes, he's on the Raptors. In some ways, we're going to get overshadowed and not really paid attention to. In fact, there's a commercial that they're showing to start the league, the tip off. They have Kawhi and Anthony Edwards in the center tip. And if you look in that commercial, they have stuff for all different teams. It's like Tatum shows up and says the champs are here. They got crazy, zealous New York fans. They show representation of a lot of teams in the league. You do not see anything that has to do with the Raptors in that whole thing. I guess you could say Kawhi, but that's it. And he's on the Clippers. So, yeah, it's annoying to me that they bury us and they don't put us in any of the marketing. They don't give us any consideration. It's things we're up against as the only Canadian team in the NBA. And in some ways, Grady, well, go out there and make them know your name. Go out there and show them that they need to cover you. And, if you go to a 3-point shootout at the All-Star weekend and you get a 3-point shootout, yeah, you're going to get your name out there. You can get your name out there more. Yeah. Yeah. And he's not going to be no Jay Capono showing up and just getting a 3-point championship. And that's really the best thing in his whole career. No, this guy can play also. He'll be doing other stuff too. Yeah, he'll get it. He'll get it over time, Andrew. He'll demand it by the way he does things. That's right. You wrote that in twice. Okay. Fiercely saying Davion Mitchell off night mode was on. Yeah, it wasn't bad. G saying have a great day, rewind. And Tatum Supin's laughing at Cream Thomas. This is a little bit of smack talk. I mean, Cream's going to talk a little bit of smack. I mean, we're absolutely go at it with other fans sometimes when they come in here. Like Sixers fan can get into it with us real quick. Yeah, sometimes the Sixer fan is a little cocky. They're really happy they stole our coach and all this shit. And sometimes they talk some trash here. But yeah, but this is very, very commendable and a nice and warm and fuzzy diplomatic meeting with our Celtic fan today. It's really good. Let's see. And Cowboys laughing. Andrew's saying Pritchard looks like a high school bully in a kid's movie. He kind of who does he look like to me? He looks like that old guy that used to be in all those movies, like they Lock, Stock, and Two Loaded Barrels. Like there's a tough guy that has a shaved head. He kind of looks like him, except he looks smaller than him somehow. We got to remember these guys are all way bigger than they look on TV. It's like Peyton Pritchard's probably like 6'1", but he looks like he's like 5'4" because he's out there with 7-footers. So yeah, it's that kind of stuff. It's very interesting, man. We don't need to be dissing Peyton Pritchard because honestly, that dude can hoop and he's a dead eye. And honestly, I'd love to have a guy like him on our team. Seriously, he's like a bald Chucky. You're saying he's like the doll Chucky? What the fuck is that, G? He's like a bald Chucky. Oh my gosh. You know what? It's so weird. I'm going to give you a dunk just because it's such a weird insult, my guy. He's a bald Chucky. That doesn't make no sense to me. I just said he looks like the guy in Lock, Stock, and Loaded Barrel. Not like Jason Statham. The other guy that looks like Jason Statham. You know what I'm talking about. He kind of looks like that dude to me. The guy kind of looks like Jonas Valanciunas too. The guy I'm talking about. All right, I'm just going to give you one. You only get one dunk for that. 86. 86 is where G is at. Nago's saying Peyton looks like Eminem's long-lost brother. Why are we doing this to this man? He's a champion. Let's have some respect. And we have a Celtics fan in here, too. He's not coming in here to hear Raptors amateur comedy hour making fun of their backup point guard. Come on now, Nako. He looks like Eminem's long-lost brother. I mean, I don't know if that's an insult. Is that an insult? I don't think that is. Tatum Soup is saying Pritchard looks like he files taxes on his spare time. So the Celtic fans getting in on this. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. To me, he looks like the guy who's down at the docks getting kids lunch money. So he looks like that. He looks like he looks a little bit like a mafia enforcer to me. Like he looks a little bit like that. He looks like a boondog saint, something like that. Boondock Saint. Those guys, that's what he looks like to me in some ways. All right. Alley-oop to Tatum. All right, he's getting another dunk. We're going to give him a 2-pointer this time. So he's at the Emmanuel Quickley 5. All right, yeah, he's having fun with us here. He's nothing personal. It's not too serious. We got to respect the kid. Seriously, Peyton Pritchard is very good. So Carlos laughing at Ready Dick. Yeah, somebody's just got Grady Dick. We got Ready Dick. Jameson Battle coming off the bench with his red hair. He's Ready Dick is what I'm saying. Battle Dick. No, this is like what He-Man. This is like Masters of the Universe shit. Like what if they had the Battle Cat and then what was the added play set? The Battle Dick. That's not a good thing for kids to have in the 80s. No, I'm sorry. Castle Grayskull with the extra Battle Dick add on the next to it. No, we ain't doing that. Man at Arms. No. There's no Battle Dick. There's no battle dick, guys. Kareem's saying, wait, Andrew, Peyton Pritchard looks like Casper in the movie Kids. Man, that's not nice. That's not nice, Kareem. That movie Kids was a bunch of junky kids. No, that's not nice, man. He does kind of look like the kid, though. I'm not going to lie. Kareem said the recreation of Shed Van Vliet. Shed Van Vliet. That's it right there. I like that one, too. We can do Shed Van Vliet because it's like Jamal Shed Van Vliet. That's beautiful. Good job, Kareem. You're going to get a dunk for that one. That's a 5-pointer. We're going to give you a 5-pointer for Shed Van Vliet. I like that. We got Fred Van Vliet, Red Van Vliet. Now we got Shed Van Vliet. That's right. Shed Van Vliet. Let's go, Shed Van Vliet. I hope you're not too hurt from your hamstring injury in the game last night. All right, we're going to give 3 points to Kareem for that. 364 on the dunk chart. The leader is 364 dunks. Yeah, Shed Van Vliet. I like that. That's top notch right there. Let's see. Tatum said, can you guys give us the Jamal? So this guy wants Shed Van Vliet. This guy wants Shed Van Vliet. Yeah, I knew he was a real one in summer league when he punched one of the nets in the nuts. When he punched one of them players in the nuts. Oh, wait, it was a Miami Heat player. It was somebody. Jamal Shed punched in the nuts at summer league. I was like, man, this guy's a real one. This guy's built like Lowry. He's going to punch somebody in the nuts. That's the kind of competitor he is. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens in people's NBA careers. If at some point Jamal Shed is a Celtic, I'll be sad because we want Shed Van Vliet to stay in the Raptor red. That's right. That's right. Trade Pritchard for him. How about that? We'll do that. How about that? Straight up. Jamal Shed for Peyton Pritchard. How about that? Will you do that one? You do that one? That's right. For Tatum. See, Cowboy wants him for Tatum. Yeah, I was being more realistic. Kareem saying that Tatum's hooping. You can have Jamal if you give us Pritchard. See, I was saying that. Tatum and Brown. And Tatum's son. You want Deuce in the deal? What is this? We're not trading children. This is wrong, man. There's a real problem in this world with human trafficking. And there will be no trading of Jason Tatum's son, Deuce. I'm sorry. No. Tatum's like, no. He's like, no. Man, y'all are goofy right now. It's pretty funny, man. Alley-oop, rely on the side. That's right. That's right. Tatum's hooping saying at Kareem, you can't get Brown, but we'll give you Drew. Man, we get Drew Holiday. Woo! Jamal Shed for Drew Holiday right now. Call Masai. Get him on the phone. We got a deal right here. We're gonna make a fan deal. This will be the first ever NBA fan trade made. We're gonna trade Jamal Shed for Drew Holiday right now. Let's do this. Let's punch it in. This is for real. He said he'd do it. Carlos say Jamal just needs to work with lethal shooter. That's probably true. He's going to get better and better. They asked him about this yesterday in the interview. Say, yeah, you're 3-point shooter. You got to work on that. He's like, yeah, I know. I got to work on that. But he's enjoying it, man. Jamal Shed's a real pro. And in some ways, he's a vet, even though he's never played in a regular season NBA game already. That's what people are saying. Jamal Shed plays like a vet, even though he's never, ever played in an NBA regular season game. Not even one yet. And that guy already coming in with a vet vibe to him. It's crazy. Andrew's saying Grady has a bright future. They were trying to tell me about some Jet Howard. That's funny, Andrew. He's like, yeah, Jet Howard, the son of Juwan Howard, plays for the Magic. Yeah, Andrew, you're funny, man. They're trying to tell me some junk about Jet Howard. All right, 156 for you. That's hilarious. Yeah, no nepotism on our team with that. I mean, maybe a little bit of nepotism with Mobo, but come on now. See, the guy actually is playing in a very solid way for us. It's not just that he's Scotty's best friend. So come on now. Let's see. Nako saying if Shed and Mobo are showing the promise, they are Jacoby's first game is going to hit like a truck. Jacoby's got to do his own path. In some ways, these second rounders and unsigned guys like Brandon Carlson are doing their thing, but in some ways, Walter has an extra pressure on him as the first round pick, the 19th pick of the draft. And man, I just want to see him get out there and be successful. I have a feeling about Jacoby Walter that he is one of these hoopers, one of these guys that just has one of these lucky charms about him, and he makes big shots, and he's just a very creative scorer. That's what I feel like is going to be happening with him. Now, we don't know. Nothing's guaranteed. Guys can play really good at places like Baylor and do really big things in the college level, but it doesn't mean it translates. Well, I was wrong about Grady Dick translating to the NBA. And I don't know what's going to happen with Jacoby Walter. In some ways, he's undersized for his position, but he's also extremely talented as a scorer. So we'll have to see where the balance and the reality of Jacoby Walter in the NBA is. If he can stay healthy, he can listen to his coaches and his teammates, he will be fine. But he needs to put the work in and show up, and he needs to kick some ass, is what I'm saying right there. That's right. I'm all about it. Carlos saying Grady and Scotty, cue in the Magic and Bird photo. All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Those are huge legends that you're talking about right there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Kareem saying, Carlo, I feel like Grady and Scotty is more like Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, and white men can't jump. I can see those parallels for sure. For sure. In some ways, yeah, Grady could be that goofy guy like Woody Harrelson showing up, man, nobody takes you seriously. Look at you. In some ways, that's why he's such a fan favorite and a team favorite. You know, Emmanuel quickly loves Grady Dick because he is that goofy blonde white kid playing in the game. And in some ways, that white kid could hoop. In some ways, that's what's fun about him. It's like, man, that kid can hoop. And that's fun. I know how it is. I was that goofy white kid on the court, some totally black basketball game down in Florida. And in some ways, you are a fun person to have out there because things don't get expected from you. And then when you do them, you're like, yeah, this kid's all right. This white kid's cool. You know, it's that kind of thing with Grady. Seriously, there's a bit of that. And I can see how he tricks some people, although the secret's going to be out on Grady and people are going to have to take him seriously. But in some ways, he could do the Woody Harrelson to people for a little bit early on. And Scotty's out there grifting. Yeah, Scotty's out there grifting like Wesley. Andrew said, not even the best Malachi trying out for the Spurs. I know. In some ways, that other Malachi is going to beat that Malachi. I know. It's sad. It's just to that point. Andrew's laughing at my joke. Cowboys saying, but on your 41 plus wins, let's see what happens, Cowboy. I'm not going to get in my head myself. We got to do better than 25 wins. If we get 35 wins, I'll be happy. If we get 41, we're above 500. Hey, I'm happy, but I'm being realistic. And the beginning of the schedule is tough. We got a lot of games on the road, a lot of top teams that we're playing in the first 2 months. And this is going to be a crazy schedule. In some ways, we may surprise people and do stuff. Hey, fuck around and get Darko the coach of the year because the Raptors do so well that nobody expected it. That's how he gets coach of the year, is that they prognosticate that we're going to do so bad. And then all of a sudden, we're actually a playoff contender. And then all of a sudden, people are saying Rajakovic needs to be in the coach of the year conversation. Because I feel like that could happen this year. Seriously. Andrew, let's keep going. Cowboys saying alley-oop the humper dunker. Are you when you say that, you mean Kareem when you say humper dunker? I'm trying to figure out who you mean when you say humper dunker. I'm figuring you say Kareem. Andrew saying Yak on his birthday is a top 5 center. I'm not going to disagree with that from what he did last night. Best Oshai game I've seen him play as a Raptor. I won't disagree with that either. I think that was his best all-around game, considering the defensive assignments and the contributions he made offensively. Yeah, and he shot 7 of 11. That's a pretty good shooting percentage for Oshai Agbaji and some of the stuff he's done as a Raptor so far. Yeah, Stargate saying, I just have a feeling Jacoby is another Brandon Miller-esque type player. Not as talented, but close. Remember, some early mock drafts had Jacoby as high as top 3 pick at one point. Yeah, it's weird because his draft stock dropped. As much as Zach Edey's stock rocketed up, and it looks like it's legit the way he's dominating right now, Jacoby Walter's stock dropped. And that's why he fell all the way to 19. Well, much like Grady should have probably been a top 10 pick, and we picked him up at 13. Once again, Masai and Bobby are getting guys that maybe fell in the draft late in the draft. This is what they did with Anunoby. This is what they did with Siakam. And when they drafted those two guys, everybody laughed at them when they drafted Pascal Siakam. Who? Well, who's fucking laughing now about Pascal Siakam as a 20th pick? Who's laughing about that now? Seriously. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I'm excited about Jacoby Walter. I want to see what he does. It's still a little early. Andrew's saying, I think Jacoby's floor is like Tim Hardaway Jr. That's not a bad floor to have. That's a good, solid pro that's had a very long career. That's a very long career. Cowboy saying alley-oop to Tom Duke. Yeah, Tommy's not helping me anymore. So in some ways, Cowboy, I don't appreciate you bringing him up because in some ways we don't need to bring him up. If Tom watches the channel, that's great. We love you, Tom. It's fine. But in some ways, yeah, he's not working with me anymore, Cowboy. He's mad at me. So in some ways, you're bringing up a sore spot, and I don't appreciate it. In some ways, Tommy we don't have any problems. I don't have any problems with him. He has a problem with me. So Cowboy, in some ways, you bringing him up is kind of annoying to me. Let's just put that up. All right. Andrew's saying Edey is going to be nasty. We're so happy we're finally going to have a good young big on Team Canada. Yeah. Yeah. And who knows, down the road, he could end up in a Raptors jersey at some point too. That would be awesome. Smooth saying, I respect preseason, but I know most times what happens in exhibition doesn't translate to the regular season. Well, I would say this normally, but this game last night was different, Smooth. You'd have to watch it. The intensity was very high, and the Celtics put their best foot forward in a lot of ways. Other than Drew Holiday not being there, that was probably the best Celtics that could be there in that game, and it's not like they played half-ass minutes. Tatum and Brown got their fair share of time out there. So in some ways, I would say like maybe the game on Sunday, yeah, but this was a real well battled kind of game, and it was toe to toe. And as much as like it was such an entertaining game here, applauding us and saying good game, it was a fun game to watch. So I mean, this was a different game last night. I'm telling you, if you might want to go back and watch the game last night because it had a very different feel to it than preseason. Let's just put it that way. I think Scotty coming out and just bombing right out the bat really set the tone. Really set the tone. And I think that does translate to the regular season. Scotty playing that way and Grady also. Yeah. The more experienced teams use the time to get in game shape, not really giving a regular season effort. I don't know if that's true. You seriously, Smooth, you got to watch the game last night. If you can get the chance to go back and watch it, check it out. Seriously, this was not a normal game for preseason. This game could have very well been a regular season game, the way it felt. In some ways, it felt a little bit like a playoff in some ways, just a little bit. Stargate saying Chev is having one of his I told you so moments with how Zach Edey has been playing. Seems like he is playing with a chip on his shoulder. Well, that man's really big and hard to handle, and he's coming to show people that he's tall and big, and you're going to have to double him. And that's just how it is. In some ways, I'm so proud of our kid from Toronto, Zach, and I want to see him do very, very well. I'm excited. In some ways, I'll root for the Grizzlies, partly just because of Big Zach. For sure. Yeah. Andrew saying MFers were saying his game wouldn't translate to the NBA. Like 7'4" is still tall in the NBA. He's more mobile than people think. Yeah. I think once again, this was subterfuge by experts trying to bury him so that maybe somebody could sneak in and get him somewhere somehow. I think the Grizzlies reaching for him in the top 10. At first, everybody's saying, whoa, he's projected in the teens. Why would they get him so early? I think in some ways they were protecting getting him before people like Miami or the Lakers got him. And I'm so glad the Grizzlies reached and grabbed Big Zach in top 8. He was the 8th pick, right? So he went way earlier than they were projecting. And some people had even projected him in the 20s. And I was like, whoa, is that a reach? And some people even make fun of the Grizzlies for taking Zach Edey so early. Who's laughing now on that one? Seriously. And I'm so glad Zach is not wearing a Heat jersey or a Laker jersey, honestly, because that probably may have been part of the reason why the NBA media was submarining Zach's value pre-draft. In some ways, we got to remember there's a lot of manipulation with bullshit. Just think about Jalen Suggs and Scotty Barnes. That is a perfect example of everybody in telling us, oh, the Raptors need to draft Jalen Suggs with the 4th pick. Yeah, we didn't listen to y'all, and we picked the right one, Scotty Barnes. So that's the thing. Don't listen to the media when it comes to draft. Watch with your own eyes. Think for yourself. And know that Masai and Bobby trust in them because they're doing their work and they know what the truth is. They're not going to listen to ESPN, obviously, because they would have picked Jalen Suggs over Scotty Barnes if they were listening to ESPN. They didn't. No, they didn't. No, they did not. That is right. Saying you're a number 15, Vince Carter did. Now, listen, I'm warming up, Isaac. He did good at the Hall of Fame speech. In some ways, he's got one more chance to really solidify that I'm okay with him. Finally, once again. Vince, you're getting there, man. Seriously, you're going to heal this rift between you and I and other fans like me. Seriously, we've hated you for so long for how dirty you did us in 2004, and rightfully so. But, man, the love fest between Raptors Nation and Vince Carter right now is starting to warm my cold heart towards you. And in some ways, man, you did a good job at the Hall of Fame speech. You really did emphasize your Raptors history and wearing a purple suit and naming off a bunch of great Raptors and T-Mac being there next to you and Alvin Williams and Chauncey Billups even recognizing what could have been between McGrady, Carter, and Billups on the Raptors if that had stayed together. The Raptors content at Hall of Fame was very nice. And Vince, I appreciate you in some ways for saying it was an honor to play for your people that hated you and loved you, because we did hate you. We did hate you after you left and you came back and you heard us boo. But, man, this is such a turn of events. So we'll have to see on November the 2nd when we play the Kings and we retire your jersey, what you say to the crowd could cement me finally forgiving you and saying, yeah, I'm cool with you, Vince. We're fine. We're fine. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. And that could very well be happening. Isaac, that's great news, man. I love to see a jump in my subs. And I appreciate all the new subscriptions today. This is the best place to go for daily Raptors talk, no matter what. And the great thing is your voice is heard because I read your comments. That's right. But you got to subscribe to be able to chat. There you go. There you go. Cowboys saying later, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Alley-oop to Uncle St. David. Let's go. Yeah, I'll give David a dunk. David has been so helpful for this channel. Tom was helpful too. I'm not going to lie. Tom was very helpful. But in some ways, I don't know what happened with me and Tom. In some ways, it's a stupid political discussion. But yeah, 274 for David. He's getting a 5-pointer. David, you have been awesome with helping me with the trivia. We're going to have to make a trivia for next week, for next Tuesday, and then we're going to get into the season. So, David, we're going to have to figure out our trivia for next Tuesday. If y'all want to play Tuesday Raptor Freak Trivia next Tuesday, we're going to be playing once again. That's right. Right. And the top 5 trivia standings has been shifting around. Y'all need to check that. It looks like it's Smooth Brown Man is on top at this point. You're currently the leader in our Raptor Freak Trivia, Smooth. I believe it's either you or Kareem right now. That's right. Later to Tractor Isaac. There you go. Carlos saying rebounds. Raptors 57, Celtics 36. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little worrisome for the Celtics, I bet. But the Raptors did really dedicate themselves to getting after it. In fact, if there's motivation and laziness on a team, well, sometimes that's what happened with us on Sunday against them. We got out rebounded by them. Well, this time we changed it. And Darko told them, no, we're not doing this. Rebounding was actually a key component that Darko harped on them to do way better in this game. And they came in. They did it right. So we're saying respectfully, Kelly O as a backup. No, thanks, man. Well, he is. Obviously, he's our backup center. That's why we have him. He's a backup vet. And I know in some ways you're like, no, thank you. But if he's not starting, it's not a problem. The problem last year was he had to be our starting center, and he can't do that at this point. But he's a perfectly capable veteran, smart backup center still. And I know you're like, yeah, I don't really want him because he's not quick enough or something like that. But he's smart in certain ways, and he can do this. He can do this. Trust me, he can do this. And if he's not going to do it, well, Mobo, Shamshay, Carlson, even Carlson could start learning some stuff. We'll have to see. Andrew's saying Precious had 20 and 16. And I know Bill Bester's out there smiling somewhere. Yeah, Precious is funny. On Instagram, he's asked by the New York media if he's rooting for the Yankees. And he said, no, I'm a Mets fan. He's like, I grew up in Queens, bro, and I am rooting for the Mets. So Precious is firmly in Mets nation and not on Yankees nation. You go, Precious. Although I've seen you wearing a Yankees hat sometimes, Precious. So you confuse some people. But he's actually a Mets fan. So if they do play each other, he's going to be rooting for the Mets. Yeah, Bill Bester's probably pretty happy right now. Pretty happy. That's right. Let's see. Smooth just took his comment away real quick. I didn't read it in time. Carlos saying Carlson needs to bulk up, man. He's thin. Yeah. Yeah, I've been saying this since I seen him. You know, that in some ways that help defense was really key right at the end of the game there. And in some ways, he's not going to be a strong defender. He's not going to hold people with his strength, but he can come and block shots from the weak side. And he does have that kind of action. So in some ways, that's going to be part of it right there. Andrew saying Celtics fans going crazy on Twitter saying Carlson fouled. You know, there may have been a little bit of that in there. I'm not going to lie. But once again, that's a referee decision. It's right at the buzzer. And if they just want the game to go, they just want the game to go. And that's just how it is. In some ways, I mean, there probably was but maybe it was right after the buzzer. Maybe it was this or that. Who cares? Scott Foster called the game the way he wanted to call it. But I mean, I'm not going to disagree with them. There may have been a foul there, but I'm not going to say anything because it's the end of the game. And well, it is what it is. They don't want to side games by calling a bullshit foul like that. So in some ways, it's really like Celtics, you want to win that game, execute and make the basket. And that's the way the NBA is. In some ways, our Celtic fans that's here, he would agree with me. It's like if it was the other way around. Well, you know what? We didn't get a foul called when Paul Pierce hit Kyle Lowry in Game 7 against the Brooklyn Nets, over 10 years ago? It's the same kind of shit. It's like right at the end of the game, you need to execute and make that shot like Kawhi did against Philadelphia. Or, you want them to bail them out and give them free throws to win the game in a 1-point game? No, they don't want them to win that way. That's cheesy. They got to make the shot. So sorry, Celtics fans. With all due respect, yeah, maybe he did foul you guys a little bit, but not enough to the point where they need to call it, stop the game, and give you guys free throws to get a chance to win it. No, that's not how it goes right there. That's right. Carlos saying, I'm loving what I'm seeing with Darko at the helm. The second half last game and the last night's game. Yeah, the leadership of Darko and the culture is there. In some ways, when we see it battle against a true bona fide championship culture that Joe Mazzulla has built in Boston, it really makes you feel good because that's a great system. That's a great ethic. That's a great culture that Boston plays with. And the fact that our culture could match up and meet with them and play a very contested game in a way like what happened last night is absolutely awesome. And it does show that there's something to what Darko's doing as the coach of the Raptors. It really is. It does show something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Mike's saying the Celtics shoot a lot of threes, like a lot. Andrew's saying Celtics starters can shoot and defend at every position. The thing that's weird about the Celtics is they're a small team overall on the down low, but they're such a good trapping team as a team. And they're just so stymieing in different ways. And they're very smart. So they make up for the size difference because a lot of times they're playing Brown and Tatum at forwards. And then those guys are really kind of could be guards. Jason Tatum at power forward is undersized. How does the Celtics do this? They do this with a really ingenious system of trapping on defense. And that's how they do it. It's very, very interesting. Let's see. They take a lot more threes than any other shot. Well, they have good shooters on their team. And, in some ways, Sam Hauser didn't even play last night. He could have been a difference to help them in certain ways, honestly. Nako's saying, I swear Al Horford made a deal with the devil for his knees. That's a weird statement, Nako. I mean, I don't understand where you're coming with that. Al Horford, a longtime player from Dominican Republic. I'm really happy to see him get the championship with the Celtics. There were a couple guys that got championships with the Celtics that I was really happy for. Holiday's another one, too. I like seeing him get his second championship. But yeah, Horford, I thought he was going to retire this summer. In some ways, I felt like it was a perfect time for him to retire after such a long career. So retire at top, my guy. But I guess he's greedy. I think he thinks that he can repeat, and he wants to go out as a two-time champion at the top. Well, if he feels like he's got to do that, you go ahead and you want to invest the time, the energy to play another season in the NBA, Al Horford, all the best to you, man, is what I'll say about that. Yeah, Andrew's saying Horford swapped knees with Kawhi after 2019. That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny right there. Fiercely saying, Lex, the humper dunker is Kareem. He made a joke about humping on people, forgot what it was for. Okay. I think I passed over that comment, or I just wasn't that present with that comment. Okay, thanks for elaborating. I was pretty sure it was Kareem. He should be the hyper dunker because he's dunking so much, is what I'm saying. Andrew's saying Herb Jones at 97 is insane. Yeah, this top 100 by the ESPN is just built for controversy. It's like every single team can come in there and see some shit in there and be like, what the fuck are they talking about on ESPN with this? I don't think anybody could be happy with the top 100 from ESPN. There's some sort of slight or some sort of weird ass shit somewhere in there. I don't take anybody from ESPN as experts anymore. They're the TMZ of sports coverage at this point. They're more important things like Bron and Bronny storylines and controversies than actual stats and breaking down X's and O's in the basketball game. So why the fuck would I go to ESPN for any kind of ranking at this point, since it's such a silly-ass tabloid fucking channel at this point? I'm going to be glad when NBC shows up and they start covering the NBA correctly once again so we can all see the difference of what it means to actually cover the sport of basketball like it's a sport and not a fucking sideshow like it's WWE. Seriously, that is one of my biggest gripes. And they've shown that they're going more in this direction by firing people like Zach Lowe and losing Woj. They want people like Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless saying their stupid ass shit. That's what they value. They don't value people that actually know the game like Jamal Crawford and people that come in and actually break it down and talk in basketball sense. In some ways, their market is unknowledgeable basketball people that just love dunks. And it's not people like us that actually look at the game, look at set plays, look at the way that the coaches are coaching, the structure and the substitutions and all that kind of stuff. It's gone from the way ESPN covers the NBA. It's absolute garbage. So why should anybody put any weight in the top 100 coming out from ESPN right now? Seriously. It's not like they know what they're fucking talking about at this point. Is what I would say right there. Yeah, that's what I would say right there. Seymour saying easy sports perspective on narcotics, ESPN. Yeah, easy sports perspective on narcotics. That's what ESPN stands for. Easy sports perspective on narcotics. Now, there's an article on ESPN this morning where Adam Silver is saying that he has not regretted opening up gambling on the NBA. And they cite Jonte Porter and the incident with Jonte. You say, yeah, that's a teaching moment and a cardinal sin that he committed. And that's why we're making these new rules about no phones during the games. The players are not allowed to get on their phones at halftime or any other weird places. So in some ways, I get that. But you know what? You wouldn't even have these issues. There's all kinds of problems from the gambling that you haven't even realized yet, Adam Silver. You're going to cause social problems for society because you're going to have a bunch of gambling addicts from young people that are coming up The young mind is not fully developed. And if these kids are accustomed to making bets and getting little highs off of it, you're going to make a bunch of junkies. And in some ways, that'll be part of your legacy, Adam Silver, that you caused, in some ways, you and the other commissioners of sports that opened up gambling on your sports, you caused a whole generation of gambling addiction. And well, I hope you feel good about that in like 20 or 30 years when we see the ramifications of it socially. So yeah, you go ahead and be all happy about your money and your economics and just caring about the bottom line, fucking Adam Silver. And you don't even think about the human cost. You don't even think about the NBA players getting death threats from casual, shitty ass people that made bets on them. It's so stupid, man. You go ahead and think you don't regret opening up sports gambling. You will eventually. Trust me. Mark my words, Adam Silver. You will regret that you opened up legalized gambling on the NBA in the long run. And David Stern he hates you for this. He's rolling over his grave the fact that you opened up gambling right now. If I know anything about David Stern, he protected his league from gambling being involved in it. And you opened up business with it. Oh my gosh, your predecessor would hate you for this. Seriously, the reality of the truth is David Stern would be so mad at Adam Silver if he knew what he did after he died with his league. I'm serious. I'm serious right now. Nako's saying, I forget where he was on the list, but Sengun was underrated on the ESPN list. Wemby is really good, going to be a superstar. Wemby is probably a little overrated. Wemby's at 11. Sengun is above. No, Sengun is not. He's too high. Seriously, Sengun's too high, man. Andrew said, I think Sengun is the second best player in the 21 draft behind Scotty. That may be right. That may be right. I mean, Cade's still got something to say at some point. Seriously, Cade, even though he's on a bad team, in some ways he's got something to say about this. I don't think Mobley's in the running at this point. I really don't. I think Mobley's kind of been exposed for who he is. Franz Wagner may still have a say in this also, though. I would say that. Franz could have a say in this at some point still. But yeah, we'll have to see. Seymour's got a check mark 100% for Andrew. And Nako's saying Scotty, Sengun, Cade, and Franz. So there's the four right there in your eyes. Okay. You take Franz over Cade? Yeah, maybe right now. I would say that maybe. Yeah. Green, Mobley, Cade play for their name, not for their team. Yeah, I agree with this. Green, Mobley, and Cade. Franz is a good player, though. I really like Franz Wagner. Stargate saying, I stopped watching ESPN when Stuart Scott, Rise in Power, and Rich Eisen were no longer there. And they kind of symbolize the real old sports center that was actually a news show. And in some ways, it's not like the fluff talking heads arguing back and forth of Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp kind of bullshit. In some ways, yeah, I take the old Craig Kilborn, Charlie Steiner, Rich Berman, John Saunders, ESPN, where we had two people sitting at the desk and they were giving us the news. Yeah, where's that ESPN gone to? That was the best ESPN. And not the snarkiness. And they had funny little things that they were saying with nicknames and funny calls on highlights. Do we have any show like this at any point? I don't want these Sports Center guys up here on TSN with their bullshit because honestly, it's so fucking loaded with hockey. It's so full of shit with that. And they don't cover basketball correctly up here in Toronto in TSN or Sportsnet. They really don't. They really, really don't. All right, there's the classic card guesses. I like that. Wayne's saying, we look good last night. Realistically, I'm coming down on the side of signing Battle. He has what we urgently need now. Still love Ramsey, but don't know how that will work out. Glad to see you are gleeful. There you go, Wayne. Good to see the Sergeant Wayne Strainer coming in and checking in with us on a day after a preseason win. There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, the classic card was a little blurry, but you guys got it, and that's a good job. Yeah. Trevor's saying, any player Darko touch, they turn out good shooters, make them into good basketball players. Well, I hope so. I hope so. Some of his projects from the Grizzlies have not panned out at this point. Like Zaire Williams, he actually has a stunted growth out on him now. It just came out on the YouTube channel, Stunted Growth, which is interesting because he was kind of one of his success stories for development. But something happened with Zaire Williams with the Memphis Grizzlies. He's not really doing well at this point. Something's weird. Yeah. Blackhawk saying, how the hell was Al Horford playing yesterday if he's so-called retired? I was wrong. I know I said it on this channel. I said I heard from a reputable source that Al Horford had retired, but that source was completely wrong. And I am wrong. I have to admit I'm wrong. I have to do a retraction and a correction. Then I declared that Al Horford retired this summer. I really thought he did because it made sense. Because in some ways, why not go out on top? He's an 18-year veteran. He's been in this league forever. It's like, he's tired. He just got at the top. Why it would sense that you want to walk away, but no, he didn't. And I was wrong. So I have to admit when I'm wrong and make a correction. So I was wrong, Neil. He did not retire. He is still playing. Andrew's saying plays an NBA game, then straight back to retirement home for Al. Gary's touch around the rim isn't great. It always frustrated me when he bricked floaters. I think Grady is already a better player. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare them too much, but it's easy to as a Raptors fan, considering that was the Gary spot that Grady's taking over now. Yeah, in some ways, I can see that. You're laughing at retirement home. Andrew's saying bingo during the day, NBA games at night. Okay, there you go. You're playing bingo during the day. Blackhawks say, oh, for Al Horford. That's what you're saying. Blackhawks saying Raptors played into the Celtics, which made it hard for Celtics to shoot. None of the sagging off BS. Yeah, we like I said a couple times in the stream, we had them back on their heels. And that's a really good way for us to play, where there's aggressive in transition and also very up in their grill on defense. Those were two things. And the other thing that helped was we were making our shots. That may be one of the biggest differences between Sunday and last night is Scotty and Grady making their shots doesn't allow for easy transition opportunities for the Celtics to come back the other way and get baskets coming back the other way. Make your shots. Well, you don't have as much problems on defense because they have to inbound the ball after you make it. And that's it right there. Mr. saying Raptors are looking to have OKC year. Boston shot 55 3-pointers out of 92 shots. Yeah, well, that's their MO. That's the way they like to do it. And I can't say it's a bad idea in this league that we have today. Nako saying Grady's strength and defense really impressed me. Grady is underrated completely. Okay, there you go. And Andrew's giving me the cutoff. As so close to 1,000 subs, Lex. Let's go. Hey, everybody who just joined today, thank you. I appreciate all the new subscriptions. I'm going to get to 1,000 before the season starts. I'm hoping. We'll see. I've got one more week before the season starts. Can we get there? Can we get there? Does anybody want to put me on blast somewhere and share my channel and see if we can get the last few? That would be awesome. Carlos saying, Lex, the only YouTuber that forgets to say like and subscribe. I say that at the end sometimes, but I don't always say it. You're right. Nako saying Wolves versus Celtics would have been a real good series. I think in the finals, yeah, that would have been way more entertaining. I think that the Mavs were just such a two-man show. It was just kind of lame in some ways. And, it's good for the Celtics to get back at Kyrie, but also at the same time, it's like it was a horrible representative of the Western Conference last year. I felt like they're way better teams out in the West than the Mavericks, and that they kind of got to this finals as a fluke. Honestly, I don't think they're any better this year. I think Klay Thompson's washed, and I think anybody who thinks the Mavericks are going to try and get to the finals again, you're crazy. I think that they were lucky they got the finals last year, is what I'm going to say right now. Yeah. Monique is here. Good to see Superfan Monique Lawrence. Good morning, Raptor Freak family crew. Last night was good all around. Go Raptors. Thank you, Mo, for bringing the vibes down to the arena in our first preseason game, our first home game of the year. And fantastic stuff. What a joy and what a delight to watch such a great competitive game between the Celtics and the Raptors last night. What a joy. Monique saying, I wasn't expecting a tight game. I wasn't either. I didn't know what to expect. Honestly, I was expecting a Celtics win. And, well, getting a 1-point Raptors win, hey, we can still get a winning record in the preseason if we beat Brooklyn on Friday. We'll be 3-2. And I'm all about that. Let's go. Monique's stars of the games are Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, Oshai Abaji, and Davion Mitchell. Pretty good stars right there, Mo. Trevor's saying George and Joel, two players with a knee injury. Paul George and Joel already having knee injuries. Hey, music to other Atlantic Division teams' ears, like our Celtic friend and ours also. Yeah, that's music to our ears. That's right. Most saying going into halftime, I was edgy. You're edgy. Yeah, you felt a little on edge. Yeah, I mean, the first quarter was amazing. What a dream quarter. 46 points for the Raptors in the first quarter. Wow. Shooting the lights out, having such a great 24-point lead, and then they ate it up. The Celtics are the Celtics. And the coach Joe read them the riot act and said, what are you guys doing getting blown out by the Raptors in the first quarter? And they evened it out by halftime. And, yeah, in some ways you're a little edgy at that point. I get it, yeah. Smooth saying Bronny James has 4 points in the preseason total. 4 altogether. Yeah, nepotism at its finest. And I think that a lot of fans around the league can agree with this. Lakers fans may be delusional, is what we're saying. Mo's saying also that last shot block by Carlson was something, eh? Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about it a little bit. It wasn't a true block, and Celtics fans are crying foul. But in some ways, he just did enough to kind of, I don't think it was enough of a foul that Scott Foster needed to stop the game and have a couple free throws at the end. It is what it is. In some ways, they don't want to make it seem like they're so against the Raptors that they're really going to railroad them into a loss with free throw lines right at the end. We also got to remember it's the home crowd. And in some ways, you don't want to make them upset. It's much better for season tickets for the NBA and the Raptors if the Raptors preseason game in Toronto is a win for Toronto. Trust me. So there's a lot of stuff like there. Smith saying, I'm the one that says preseason means nothing, but 4 points. I had to triple take that. 4 points. Yeah, for Bronny. Yeah, he only has 4 points in the preseason so far. Most saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Good times are coming, and they are here. Thank you, Mo, and thank you for going the game. And I know you're going to read your Above the Noise book very, very soon. And you're going to have to tell me how you feel about DeMar's great book. It's fantastic. And I'm so happy you got that book last night. Smooth, and not hyperbole, this is the best place for Raptors in NBA chat. I appreciate that, Smooth. Seriously. And I know he's not here trying to kiss my ass or anything. In some ways, I'm just a very old school basketball fan who's watched the NBA since the 80s. And I've coached basketball. I played basketball, and I really enjoy the sport. I've watched the Raptors history extensively since the very start. So there's a lot of knowledge here. And in some ways, I appreciate you guys having some merit in what I say. I mean, seriously, you guys don't have to waste your time watching me or hanging out with me, and you don't think it's a waste of time. That means a lot to me. That is the biggest honor right there, Smooth. And I appreciate you, man. I really do. Most saying Kyle forever Grote, that interview, man. Yeah, this was interesting. A couple news things out of the Sixers world as far as Kyle Lowry getting applause from Nick Nurse, of course. Nick Nurse saying that he thinks the Raptors will retire Kyle Lowry's jersey and build him a statue. And even Nick doubling down on the whole idea of making a Kyle Lowry statue that is him taking a charge. And he's laughing about it. In some ways, Nick made me kind of like him again. Get into that little bit of Raptors world where he's saying, yeah, they need to give him a statue in Toronto of him taking a charge. It's kind of like, man, Nick, I miss you in some ways. And seeing you laugh and chortle about it. And when they came to Lowry talking about it, he got really sentimental. And he was very humble about this. He was like, Vince going up and being the first jersey retirement for the Raptors means a lot. And he should be him. But, man, if they do that for me, man, it's going to be, he got a little touch. Seriously. And when Lowry and DeRozan get their jerseys up in the Raptors in Toronto, it's going to be very powerful and very, very moving. And I can tell this will not be Lowry in any kind of sort of way. And he does deserve a statue. I think that Nick is right. And it'd be funny if it was him taking a charge. It'd be the most unique NBA statue ever in the history of the NBA. We can have a Michael Jordan in a pose, Kobe Bryant, all kinds of different great statues around the league. But when you have Kyle Lowry taking a charge statue, yeah, that's going to be cool. That's going to be cool. We know it's going to come at some point. We know it will. It'll be very, very cool. I love that interview too, Monique. And we love our Grote, Kyle Lowry, even if he plays for the evil Sixers. Creep saying, no Gary, no Precious. Who's going to take the lead with the best dressed? Well, I mean, Scotty does have some stuff that he does. I mean, RJ's shown some real flash. We know Garrett Temple's going to do his suits, obviously. I think there's some signs that Jacoby Walter has a very interesting style to him. So who knows? We'll see. The logical person that will make sense will know it from what we see. Is it going to be Garrett Temple in his dapper suits? Is it going to be Scotty Barnes in his very off the wall? In some ways, Scotty's the closest to Gary and Precious with the somewhat Parliament Funkadelic kind of look in different ways, the way they do things. So I would say if anybody's going to pick up that mantle from Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Serge Ibaka, Precious Achua kind of stuff, it's going to be Scotty. I'll bet you it will be. It could be RJ too. And it could be Emmanuel. I don't know. It could be them too. Who knows? Carlos saying at Kareem, I hope it's Darko. I hope he brings back wearing suits on games. I don't think so. I think the coaches like not having to do that, but some coaches do that. There's a G League coach that always wears suits because he wants to bring a certain sort of professionalism. That's the College Park Skyhawks coach down there. He always wears a suit. Nick Nurse hates the suits. He'll never wear them. In some ways, I like the red that they were wearing, the outfits that our coaches were wearing last night. It was very bright red. And I don't know. In some ways, I don't know if the coaches are allowed to wear suits at this point. It's because it would look weird if they did. It may. In some ways, if he showed up in a suit and the other coach is wearing sweats and stuff, hey, what, you think you're better than me? You think you're better than me? Wearing a suit? Oh. So I think that age is gone. And I don't think the coaches care because in some ways it's a hassle to have a pressed suit and a nice, crisp iron shirt underneath. In some ways, it is a hassle. They got a lot to worry about. And hey, just throwing the sweats is better in some ways. I gotta say that. Yeah. Chris comes here. Good to see the great Chris come, our prognosticator. He's always making predictions. Let's see what he's saying. You know me, I got a rep for the guy not getting much shine. If I'm the GM, I'm adding battle to the squad. What do you think, Lex? Great win, by the way. There you go. Well, Chris comes starting to prognosticate, and he's saying he thinks battle has won the battle. Well, save it for tomorrow, Criscom. We're going to talk about this extensively. Who deserves to make the last roster spot on the Raptors roster for this year between the 4 candidates? So the Thursday Think Tank, tune in tomorrow. What do you think? Who should make the team between Fernando, Ramsey, Roden, and Battle? Yeah, we're going to find out. We're going to talk about it, and we'll get you guys on the phone. We'll have call-ins so you guys can actually be on the air. Let's see. Mo's saying that open gym was great until they were talking about the damn trade. Vince, Tracy, Chauncey, what would it could have been? Shaking my head. Well, no, there's no woulda, coulda, shoulda. We can't get in the DeLorean, Marty McFly, and go back and change things where Tracy McGrady didn't go to Orlando, Vince Carter to New Jersey, and Chauncey Billups getting traded too. It never worked out that way, and it never should. And Chauncey, you bring it up in some ways. It's like, why even bring that up, my guy? Yeah, you could have had Marcus Camby too. We could have had all kinds of different unit in the early Raptors years if some of the moves weren't made, but they were made, and that is life, and that is how it is. We can't go back and change it. So yeah, Chauncey, if you valued being a Raptor so much, well, maybe you could have hung around and been on that team, but it didn't seem like you wanted to be here, and you were ready to get traded immediately as soon as you got traded to us very early in your career. So it can't be like that. We can't have revisionist history. And you can't say, oh, if I had just stuck around with Tracy and Vince, what could have been? Yeah, Chauncey, that was never a reality. So why even fucking bring it up? It could have been, but you didn't make it that, did you? Yeah, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's right. Blackhawk saying Horford's retirement was all rumor mill. His sister said he's not retiring. I know, and I was wrong. And if you were the one who told me I was wrong at that time, I apologize, Blackhawk, that I argued with you and said that, no, it was true. And I didn't believe you. So this is me. Once again, I'm not above reproach. I will retract statements and make corrections and apologize and even admit when I'm wrong. And that's what makes me a better YouTube channel, because other people will just be like, no, I'm always right. And they'll poo-poo stuff like this. No, I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. And I apologize to everybody who told me he had not retired, even though I was adamant that he had. And I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong about Al Horford and his retirement. I was. Trevor's saying, finish on my paperwork, then I'm going to hit the road and bless someone today. There you go. Trevor's out on a mission. He's going to raptorize his day, touch grass, and he's going to bless somebody with some very, very benevolent action. I know that's what Trevor's going to do. Look at that. He's like a superhero. He's like, I'm going to finish up the paperwork in the Bat Cave, and I'm going to get in the Batmobile, and I'm going to go change somebody's day. That's right. That's a badass right there. Trevor J., you're awesome. I'm going to give you a dunk for your fantastic philanthropy, not just on this channel, but in your everyday life. We'll give me a 10-pointer today. You're 163 now. A boom goes a dynamite, 163, Trevor. Wow. All right, let's keep going. Most saying, yes, Battle gets the final spot for sure. That's what she's feeling. And Fiercely saying, Liberty versus Lynx tonight. WNBA Finals roll on with the Game 3. Is it tied right now? It's tied, isn't it? New York and Minnesota both locked in at 1. Yeah, let's keep this going, ladies. Great season for WNBA season. More eyes on them than ever. It's fantastic. Blackhawk saying, I don't want to see suits on the bench. I don't either. In some ways, it's like, I like the casualness of this. In some ways, that's Red Auerbach's league, or the suits and the old times and stuff like that. This is a different time in the NBA. I think the bubble made it like this. You know, they were like, they already have to do all this shit and staying in a hotel and all this kind of stuff. It's like, let's not make them wear suits anymore either. They're miserable in there, all cooped up in the bubble in Orlando. We can't make them wear suits. We'll have a whole bunch of people with iron boards out in the hallway of the hotel. Let's see. All right, let's see. Blackhawk saying, I would prefer players have their tracksuits. The staff have tracksuits that distinguish them from players. The head coach tracksuit stands out from the other coaches. Well, Darko wears the same tracksuit as Coco and Pat Delaney and Jama and all them. They're wearing all the same tracksuit. I get what you're saying. You want a Grand Poobah tracksuit. It was like, this is the head coach tracksuit. I don't know. In some ways, I like them being all for one and one for all. In some ways, I don't know. This is kind of a weird thing to go over, though, in some ways. All right, let me get my tabs all straight and make sure I didn't miss anything today. Fantastic 1-point win by the Raptors over the defending champion Celtics. In fact, we did such a good job. Celtics fans coming in here giving us congratulations and having an enjoyable stream with us. Fantastic stuff. My 5 stars of the game were Scotty Barnes, obviously,
number 1 star. Grady Dick, number 2. Yaka Pirtle, number 3. Oshai Abaji, number 4. And Davion Mitchell, number 5. So the starters were the guys. Yeah, let's see. ESPN's top 100 ranking is stupid. Happy birthday to former Raptor Alan Anderson. It's his birthday today. He is he's 42 today. Happy 42nd birthday to former Raptor Alan Anderson. Y'all, I've got our Yahoo Fantasy Basketball League all set. 16 teams are in. It's 4 divisions of 4. And I've set the schedule and I've set the scoring way that it's going to be done too. We're going to have 7 categories. And the categories aren't the normal scoring categories. I'm not doing points. I decided to take points off of there. And what we're going to do is we're going to do field goal percentage as one of the categories. Field goal percentage, free throws made, not free throw percentage, but how many free throws they make, 3-pointers made. So those are the 3 scoring categories. So in some ways, field goal percentage is going to be it. In some ways, free throws made and 3 points made, and then rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And the way it works is there's 7 categories. In your head-to-head matchups, you win 4 out of those 7 categories, you win for the week. So, and it'll keep track how many of the categories you get. If you get all 7 categories, you get 7 added to your score. So if you win more than just 4, it's better for you. But you win the week by winning 4 out of the 7. So that's the settings for this year's Yahoo Fantasy League for the Raptor Freak family. So yeah, go in there, check it out, check out your schedule, do some mock drafts, and be ready for our draft on Sunday morning at 9:30. We will be drafting on the show live 9:30 this Sunday. So if you want to watch our fantasy draft for our channel, it's going to be this weekend on Sunday. It's going to be awesome. Blackhawk saying, I'm a Trekkie, so captain should always stand out. I get you with that. I can get behind that. Maybe we'll give Darko some Spock ears, and that'll stand him out. He'd probably actually make a very good Vulcan, wouldn't he? He kind of looks like he could be a good Vulcan. All right, guys, thanks for watching me today on the Raptors Freak channel. I appreciate everybody for being here. It honestly does mean a lot. And hearing some of the feedback from you guys, and honestly, having somebody from another team come in here and enjoy listening to our chat and going back and forth, it says a lot, because we can get so divided in today's society, whether it's politics, whether it's anything that the media is trying to put us apart. The fact that sports can still connect between Celtics and Raptors Nation is top notch, man. And that's what's the best thing about sports. So salute to Tatum's Hoopin once again for being our guest today. And everybody, have a great day. Touch grass, and I'll be back tomorrow. I will say it. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you feel like, join the channel, because membership does have its privileges. It's really weird privileges, but they're good. Really weird privileges. That's right. Fiercely saying, W stream. Ciao, family. Ciao to you, MJ, our eye candy. We love you so much, holding it down in Ottawa for us. Yeah, Spock ears. Yeah, we'll put him on Darko. Could you imagine him with that? Maybe that's his Halloween costume. Who's going to do the Halloween party now that Siakam's in Indiana? I wonder who's going to host the Halloween party this year. Are they going to do it at Casa Loma again? Because that's a great venue to do a Halloween party for the Raptors. All right, y'all. Great job, Raptors. Thank you, Scotty, for showing up and being the best player on the court and showing that you may be an all-NBA player this year. Continue this excellence. Continue your great three-point shooting. I'm going to enjoy every moment of watching you play this year. All right, just under 3 hours. Good job. Let's go, Raptors. And have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9:30. Every single day, 3 years in a row, the streak is unbroken. Let's go, Raptors freaks. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Grady Dick.